Chapter 1234 Let go of the Queen and let me. Chapter 1234 Let go of the Queen and let me. Suddenly, Long Fei couldn't react at all. Quest failed, player killed. This. The heck, are you trying to scam me to death? System, what does this Queen of Bloodmoon have to do with you? Why are you so nervous? You want her life, you don't want my life, right? Long Fei cursed. A countdown appeared in his mind. If he did not complete the quest within an hour, even if the quest failed, the result would be him being killed by the system. All right. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. If I die, I die. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just as their attacks were about to land, Long Fei suddenly roared out, "Let go of that girl, let me do it." Those people were stunned. At this moment, using the speed of the wind god leg, Long Fei quickly kicked out. The idea moved and connected to the Baron Nashor. Abnormal dragon, come out. Boom. The ground sank, and a deep hole appeared. An incomparably ugly and malevolent great dragon rushed out of the void. Long Fei controlled all of them and said, with the exception of this Queen of Bloodmoon, all of them will be sprayed to death. Rumble. 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 The level 500 abnormal dragon unleashed its might. All sorts of elemental attacks crazily shot out from its mouth, one after the other. Those evil spirit body were simply unable to withstand it. All of them were forced to retreat by Daylong's attack, but their reactions were quick and did not injure him. "Kid, what are you doing?" a man asked harshly. Long Fei said, "This woman is mine, if you want to die, just come over." Now that things had reached such a stage, Long Fei was willing to give it his all. No matter what kind of Queen of Bloodmoon it was, he had to complete the mission, and if he couldn't, he would be killed. A man's eyes turned cold, and shouted, "You dare to ruin my Holomoon sect's plans, you're courting death." Holomoon sect. Long Fei trembled slightly, opened his mouth and sneered, "You're a disciple of the Holomoon sect?" A man said proudly, "What? You must be afraid." "Afraid? Heh. I, your father, will kill the people from your Holomoon sect." Long Fei's eyes were blazing with anger. Holomoon sect was surrounding Yuan Yang clan, and was a part of the Thousand Alliance sect. If he didn't kill them, who would he kill? "You're courting death. I will deal with the three of you against Queen of Bloodmoon." The four of them separated. Three of them attacked Queen of Bloodmoon, while the other one attacked Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid. He was only afraid that these people would not come close, because, besides possessing 9 attacks, the abnormal dragon also had another attribute, the AoE attribute. As soon as they get close, they lose blood. As long as you come, death won't be a problem. Paralyzed ring, activate. Body protection ring, activate. Long Fei made all his preparations and said with a cold smile, "Hurry, hurry. My Dalong is unable to endure the thirst." Boom, boom, boom. Ding, ding, ding. Da Long did not stop his attack. Long Fei's experience soared into the sky and the system only wanted him to save Queen of Bloodmoon. It did not ask him to save the evil spirit body. Thus, kill. As the Holomoon sect attacked, Long Fei stood beside Dalong with a slight smirk on his lips, and at the very instant he attacked, Long Fei punched out with both of his fists. Rumble. His strength was too great. Long Fei's body was blasted away. It did not cause any paralysis. However, the powerhouse spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. The other 3 people did the same. Just as they approached the Queen of Bloodmoon, they were forced back by Daylong's group attack. The attacks of a 500 dragon weren't just for show. Long Fei crawled up from the ground and shouted, "Come again." He thought to himself, as expected, the higher the level, the lower the probability of paralysis. "You dog, if not for this monster, you would have died long ago." The powerhouse's eyes turned sinister as he looked at the 9-headed dragon wildly wreaking havoc. "Elder, this monster is a bit difficult to deal with. Elder, what should we do?" "Deal with him first, don't worry about Queen of Bloodmoon, she still has a lot of time, wait for us to finish off this brat, then we can kill her." The secret arts of the Holomoon sect combined with the sacred arts of the Queen of Bloodmoon, I will be able to comprehend a new divine ability. At that time. Heh. The elder sneered. In that instant, He stared at Long Fei and said, "Let's see how long you can last. Attack." With a loud shout, the four of them rushed forward at the same time towards Long Fei. Long Fei looked up and swallowed a pellet that could help him recover his holy sauce, then said with a cold smile, "I want to see how long you two can endure this." The four of them quickly flew around, dodging Daylong's elemental attacks, then entered Daylong's area of effect. The four of them released their powers at the same time and smashed Xiong Longfei. Long Fei did not stay idle. F***CK. If you can't numb the elder, then let's change people. His body sank, and both of his feet heavily inserted into the ground. At the same time the four people's attacks descended, Long Fei moved both his fists, and explosively struck out. Boom, boom, boom. As the four people's attacks fell, Long Fei's health point was not threatened at all. His body was not harmed in the slightest, not even a strand of hair was harmed. All of the injuries had been converted into consumption of holy sauce. This was the protective ring. If the holy sauce is not destroyed, then life will not die. In that moment, Long Fei's fists moved, and the paralysis still failed. The four attacked again. Long Fei's body still did not receive any injury, but the value of his holy sauce was almost depleted, so he could at most take one injury. Again, the four of them attacked once again. Long Fei also went up to meet it once again. Boom. Ding. Paralysis effect triggered. F***CK. In that moment, Long Fei moved and roared, "Dalong, roar!" With a roar, one of the dragons charged straight down. The three of them flew out while the other one was paralyzed. He stood rooted to the ground, and with a single bite, he was swallowed up by the dragon. Blood dripped down. The other three were furious. Ah! The three once again attacked in a frenzy. Long Fei's heart tightened. This is bad. Holy sauce was exhausted, and his health point was simply unable to withstand the attacks of the three people. However, at this very moment. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, purple level, 4. His holy sauce value instantly rose to full. Long Fei grinned, his fists moved again. Come. Boom. Ding. Trigger paralysis. Dalong, bite him to death. Another person was killed, leaving behind only 2 people. The 2 of them only had half of their health remaining. Every time they attacked, they would have to withstand the attacks from Big Dragon. Long Fei stood under Dalong and laughed. Come and kill me, aren't you shouting too much? Come kill me, ha ha ha. The 2 were once again enraged. Long Fei's fists moved again as he faced the attack head-on. Boom. It did not cause any paralyzing effect, but the 2 of them endured the attack of the dragon at the same time, and bounced off it, attacking again. Several times, there was no paralyzing effect, but a disciple was sprayed to death by Dalong. Only the last elder, who was also the powerhouse S, remained. Suddenly. Ding. Chapter 1235 Small Explosion. Chapter 1235 Small Explosion. Suddenly, a system announcement sounded out. Long Fei's heart tightened. It's not time for me to level up yet. When will there be a berserk mode? The sound of a notification rang at this time. Crap. Long Fei cursed in his heart as he immediately checked Daylong's time. What the F***CK? Ding. Dalong time is over. Just as the system beep fell, it let out a wild roar, shrank its body, and drilled into the deep hole. Long Fei was confused. He had been busy dealing with the 4 people of Holomoon sect and had forgotten about Daylong's time. Moreover, half of the time had already passed and the Queen of Bloodmoon had not recovered yet. The mission was still more than 20 minutes away. Could he still hold on? Long Fei moved his right hand and summoned the golden cudgel out. The elder of the Holomoon sect watched as the dragon disappeared, then turned to look coldly at Long Fei, and said, "Brat, now that there are no more monsters, let's see how you block me." With that, the figure disappeared. In that instant, the elder struck down with his palm. With the power of the sun rank being crushed, Long Fei's mind and consciousness were in turmoil, feeling extremely uncomfortable. However, Long Fei did not retreat even half a step. Sensing that the strong wind was getting closer, the golden cudgel in Long Fei's hand moved and smashed down fiercely. Rumble. The elder's face tightened, and said, "Such a strong power, but it's too slow. Wake up." The figure of the elder moved, and used a move to lock Xiong Longfei's throat. It was also at this time. Longfei smirked and said, "Too slow? You're wrong. The reason why Longfei smashed the rod down earlier was not to hurt him, but to slow him down so that Longfei could completely see his movement trajectory. With his attack, Longfei also attacked with his own attack. Boom. Ding. Trigger paralysis. F***CK. What do you mean by luck going against the heavens? Longfei roared wildly in his heart. He was betting everything on this one move. If he did not trigger the numbing effect, he would definitely be struck flying, or even killed. But with the effects of the paralysis activated, it was time for Longfei to take control of it. Buzz. The Holomoon sect elder's body was motionless, as if he had been petrified. His eyes revealed incomparable shock. "Brat, what is this? What is it?" "This is the Hades Tempest." As soon as he finished, Longfei's hands tightly held onto the golden cudgel, the samisen true fire on top of it ignited, and then smashed down onto the elder's head with a pole. Boom. Boom. The air exploded, and the top of the elder's head split open. Fresh blood spurted out, and a critical damage also floated out. Acting cool? The Holomoon sect elders are amazing. No matter how amazing it is, you have to kneel down for your father. With a swing of the staff, his numbing effect disappeared, but the intense pain made him extremely uncomfortable and his reaction slowed down by half a minute. And at this time, Longfei was using while he was still sick, want to kill extremely well. Bam. Bam. Bang. Will he die? Under the golden cudgel's violent strike, his blood rapidly drained. The elder's body had already been smashed into the ground as he angrily spouted, "Kid, Holomoon sect won't let you go so easily." "Holomoon sect won't let me go? You're wrong. It's father that will not let Holomoon sect off." Longfei's body sank, the golden cudgel in his hands struck down once again, and roared, "Explode for me." Rumble. The blood groove on the elder's head shattered and finally disappeared. Die. The system sounded out. Longfei thought for a moment, but in the end, he did not release his striking energy value. He was merely an elder, he did not want to waste several hundred points of striking value. Ding. Congratulations to player Longfei 4 killing Elder of Holomoon Sect 4 obtaining 34,000 experience, 4,000 holy source points, 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Longfei 4 obtaining the secret technique Moonbreak Strike. Do you wish to learn it? Congratulations to player Longfei 4 obtaining the ancient spiritual artifact Clock of Hell. Congratulations to player Longfei 4 obtaining Beast Blood Vein. Congratulations to player Longfei 4 obtaining 122 Profound Stones. Ding. Congratulations to player Longfei 4 leveling up. Currently level, purple level 5. The system sounded out continuously. Longfei was a little confused, because the elders of the Holomoon Sect S had unexpectedly exploded, and in the absence of using striking energy value, they had suddenly exploded. Furthermore, he even dropped an ancient spiritual artifact. It was too unexpected for Longfei. Moonbreak Strike. Is this the Holomoon Sect's secret technique? Cultivate. Longfei moved. Ding. System prompt. Temporarily unable to cultivate. Heh. Longfei was startled. What do you mean by temporarily unable to cultivate? System. What the F***ck are you doing? You can't even cultivate your cultivation technique? Moonbreak Strike, Holomoon Sect's secret technique. He needed the fusion of another cultivation technique to cultivate, and this was also the reason why Elder Shenyu was here. Clock of Hell. Huff. Longfei looked at the golden cudgel in his hand and said, I'll give it to you to swallow. Buzz. The golden cudgel instantly devoured the Clock of Hell and the system notification sounded. The energy filling went up another level. But what made Longfei puzzled was that the system still did not show how many ancient spiritual artifacts were required to be absorbed by the golden cudgel in order for it to be able to trigger the power of the second level. Woo woo. Woo woo woo. Once the 4 powerhouse S died, all the evil spirit body stared at Longfei. They don't have much intelligence. They only know that the queen can't be harmed in any way, so they crazily rushed at Xiong Longfei in an instant. Longfei swallowed a holy source pill. He took off his protective ring. Right now, he needed the strong holy source, so he could not let it slip away in front of his health point. Boom! 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 Longfei waved his golden cudgel and shouted in a deep voice, "Come, it just so happens that I need experience points. Come with me." He charged into the group of evil spirit body like a monkey and started killing. Ding! Ding! The system's notification sound rang out crazily, and the experience points was also increasing rapidly. From the holes on both sides of Ghost's Cave's valley, evil spirit body frantically rushed out, continuously rushing at Xiong Longfei, who was firmly encircled. He didn't care about anything, he just wanted to kill. He only thought about experience. Upgrade. It was to the point that he did not notice the changes in the body of the Queen of Blood Moon within the pool of blood. The essence within the Blood Moon was absorbed by her, and at the same time, a set of red-colored armor slowly appeared on her body. There is a convexity. His appearance slowly revealed itself. His strength was slowly recovering. There was still a minute left before Longfei's mission ended. Queen of Blood Moon looked at the surrounded Longfei with a special gaze. The last piece of armor on his body appeared, and he looked like a super soldier in the apocalypse world. However, even 10,000 times more super soldiers could not compare to Queen of Blood Moon. Because her strength was extremely terrifying. His body slowly floated as he stared at Longfei. Chapter 1236, The Wall Queen. Chapter 1236, The Wall Queen. Boom. Boom boom boom. Come on. Come on. Longfei swept across and crushed a few evil spirit body. With a roar, at this time, those evil spirit body slowly retreated, as if they were afraid. The encirclement quickly retreated. A terrifying aura dispersed. Longfei's mind was set, and he felt a cold chill behind his back. His hands shivered, and his eyes shook. Queen of Blood Moon. He slowly turned around. Half a meter behind him stood a woman in red armor. There was a faint crescent mark on her forehead, and she was very beautiful. Exquisite. Every inch of his body exuded an irresistible allure. Queen of Blood Moon looked at Longfei. Longfei was also looking at her. At this time, Longfei did not dare to move. The Queen of Blood Moon gave him a feeling as if he was surrounded by bombs and mines. Longfei opened the system and saw that the time for the mission was over. However, the system did not inform him that he had completed the mission. System, damn you. I finished the mission, where's my reward? It's fine if you don't have any rewards, but now the person I'm saving wants to kill me instead. Do you want to play me to death? Longfei was very unhappy. He crippled the opportunity to summon the Baron Nashor, crippled so much of his holy source value, in order to complete the mission. In the end, he had to be killed by the people who protected him. The system did not give any explanation. Longfei didn't dare to move even an inch. This was the first time he was being watched by a woman, and it was even an extremely beautiful woman. This was also the first time he was being stared at by a beautiful woman. Finally, Longfei couldn't help but say, "There's no need to look at me like this when I'm handsome, right? Being handsome isn't my fault." Queen of Blood Moon's eyes suddenly became cold, revealing the look of a queen, and said, "You were the one who saved me, so I won't kill you." Holy **T. Longfei muttered in his heart, and said, "How arrogant are you? I saved you, but I don't know how to be grateful. Instead, I'll say this, I won't kill you. Alright. I'll count it as you being the boss, okay?" If Longfei's main gun was filled to the brim, he would not hesitate to shoot it with his cannon. Longfei slowly retreated, wanting to leave Ghost's Cave Valley. However, the cold and imposing voice of the Queen of Blood Moon sounded out once more, "Did I let you leave? F***CK. Longfei could not tolerate it anymore and immediately scolded angrily, "You want to compare me to this because I'm afraid of you? If you dare to do this in front of me, how about I break your chrysanthemum? I will tolerate you once, I will tolerate you twice, but the dead zone will not tolerate you thrice." The space between Queen of Blood Moon's eyebrows shook. Impudent. F***CK. Long Fei uttered another vulgar sentence, as he roared out in a heavy tone, "This old one will be presumptuous today." He took a step forward. Long Fei's body immediately charged forward. Queen of Blood Moon's eyes turned cold, he glared, and a pressure from the idea pressed down. Long Fei moved his right hand, suck star over China. Boom. She quickly absorbed the pressure released by the Queen of Blood Moon. The pressure she released was not strong, because she thought that Long Fei would not be able to withstand it. However, after absorbing the pressure, the barrier was gone. Long Fei also jumped down. Queen of Blood Moon's body trembled slightly as he retreated quickly. However, Long Fei did not let go, and silently thought in his heart, "She's afraid of getting close. Heh heh." The moment he landed, Long Fei stomped his feet, Wind God Leg. He used the speed of the Wind God Leg to quickly chase after her, and revealed an evil smile. "Queen, let's see where you can run to." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This time, he was even faster and directly threw himself into Queen of Blood Moon's embrace. Queen of Blood Moon's face was shocked as his entire body fiercely fell into the pool of blood. Long Fei was suddenly shocked in his heart as he exclaimed in his heart, "Not good." But at this time, he could no longer make any choices. He could only fall into the blood pool with the Queen of Blood Moon. Hualala. Blood splashed in all directions, and the beast blood flowed into Long Fei's mouth, his entire body becoming extremely hot. Just as Long Fei's body was immersed in the blood water, the whole world suddenly changed. This was not blood water, but the Queen of Blood Moon's palace. Moreover, the most important thing was that after Queen of Blood Moon entered the pool of blood, all of the armor on her retreated. That figure, that twin peaks, that perky little ass. Every inch of his body was emitting an unparalleled temptation. Stimulated by the beast blood. Long Fei was agitated. Under the strong temptation of the Queen of Blood Moon's body, the power of primordial chaos beneath Long Fei's crotch became even more restless. Gudong. Long Fei swallowed a mouthful of saliva heavily, as his entire body heated up. Queen of Blood Moon's face turned red. She wanted to cover her body, but there was nothing in this palace that could shield her as she continued to retreat. Long Fei said sinisterly, "I didn't think you would still like to sleep naked." Queen of Blood Moon bellowed, "Get out of here, now, now." The commanding tone was extremely tough. However, what she didn't know was that, the more a woman was like this, the more it made a man feel like he was conquering her. Long Fei said lightly, "It was I who protected you, I should have collected a protection fee. System, you are not giving me any rewards. I'll take it myself. Perhaps." Long Fei suddenly remembered that the system had given him a special reward. Long Fei laughed sinisterly in his heart. Maybe, this is the special reward. Finished. Long Fei took another step closer. Queen of Blood Moon's body trembled, and she retreated once again. However, her body was already leaning on the wall, and there was nowhere for her to retreat to. Furthermore, here, her cultivation was completely depleted. Just the most deadly. Queen of Blood Moon said heavily, "Get out. Get out." Heh heh. "I don't want to go out, I want to go in." Finished. Long Fei took a step forward, and just like Bo Bai's technique, he slammed the Queen of Blood Moon's wall against it, pressing her arm down, and said, "If you want to kill me outside, I said I wanted to break your chrysanthemum, now. Explode." The Queen needed a tough approach. The tougher it was, the stronger and stronger Long Fei was. "The more I want to conquer you. If you're not satisfied, then I will wait until you are satisfied. Unconvinced. If you can't accept it, then say it. Until." The Queen of Blood Moon struggled with all of his might, but none of them worked. It was useless at all. No one dared to enter here, and those evil spirit body did not dare to approach here. Long Fei said, "You used pressure to crush me outside, now it's my turn to crush you." He immediately crushed both of her struggling hands and hugged them fiercely. Looking at the furious Queen of Blood Moon in his embrace, the power of prehistoric times in Long Fei's body started to surge even more violently. Bam! He tossed it heavily onto the bed. "Be good and listen to me. Now is your father's time." Chapter 1237, Blast Level 10. Chapter 1237, Blast Level 10 Crack. Crack, 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 crack. How long? Long Fei couldn't even remember what it was, but he could clearly remember the name. Queen of Blood Moon immediately lost his temper. And in the end, she completely obeyed and cooperated with Long Fei. Women are like that. Once she felt good, she would experience a drastic change. Are you still being arrogant? Still trying to act cool? Still trying to put on a face of a queen towards your father? Long Fei stared at the half-dead Queen of Blood Moon, his mouth hooked up into a lewd smile, satisfying. Seeing that Queen of Blood Moon did not say anything, Long Fei slapped her buttocks and shouted, "Speak!" Queen of Blood Moon replied without strength, "I don't dare to, husband, I will not dare to anymore." From the queen to the slaves. Long Fei had only used one night. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose into a smile. Some women just do. At this moment. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest of saving Queen of Blood Moon. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for consecutively leveling up to level 10. Ding, ding, ding. The system exploded out, causing Long Fei's cultivation to soar. Every time his strength surged, it would become stronger by a bit, and in that short moment, his cultivation had reached the 6th stage of the spirit level. Holy sh**. This is going crazy. Long Fei was dumbstruck. Never would he have thought that this was the legendary special reward, a level 10 reward. He didn't even dare to think about it. Long Fei sat on the side of the bed, looking at his own level in the system with a stupefied expression. He's too crazy, even his little heart can't take it. He thought the mission had failed. Because the time limit of the quest was only 1 hour, and the queen did not die at that time, and the quest had been completed without any reward, Long Fei thought that the quest had ended just like that. However, he did not think that slapping Queen of Blood Moon was also part of the mission, and the most important part at that, completing the mission. This is the queen. Suddenly. Could it be? All of this was arranged by the system. Damn. System boss, my respect to you is like the unending torrents of the river, and also like the unstoppable flooding of the Yellow River. Long Fei was ecstatic. When the quest was just triggered, the system immediately wanted to kill him. Why was that so? This was forcing him to complete the mission. This was definitely creating an opportunity for him. Was there such a good person in the world? Long Fei was moved. In the future, I will leave my big matters of sexual happiness to you. Seeing Long Fei being agitated and moved, the Queen of Blood Moon crawled up from the bed and hugged Long Fei from behind, and said, "Husband, what's wrong?" "System boss, in order to repay you, I'm prepared to do it again. Otherwise, I would feel sorry for you." Long Fei abruptly turned his body, and once again rode the naked Queen of Blood Moon below him. Lianyu Castle. Early morning. Chu Changkong paced back and forth, his expression extremely anxious. A disciple ran in. Chu Changkong immediately asked, "Are you back? Are you back?" The disciple shook his head slightly. "Even the north, south, east and west gates have their guards assigned, and we don't see any trace of Lord Long Fei. He went to the place where the Ghost's Cave is, which is an extremely dangerous place. Could it be?" Nyo Dasan got up and shouted, "That's impossible, my boss will definitely be fine." Kang Long frowned and blamed himself. "I shouldn't have let him leave that time," Chu Changkong said. "Even more so, he should not have agreed to fight with young master of Martial Prowess Mansion at the auction. Just yesterday, young master of Martial Prowess Mansion's cultivation had already broken through the Sun rank." "An," Chu Changkong said in a deep voice, "the president must see Long Fei first before he is willing to send out the powerhouse to protect him. We do not even know where Long Fei is, or if he is alive or dead. Even if you want to protect him, it's useless." Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance was a huge power. The pellet that Chu Changkong brought along caused a huge stir. It could be said that all sorts of powerhouses rushed into the Lianyu Castle for that pellet. Increasing lifespan by 100 years was not something that anyone could obtain. The reason the guild leaders of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance came personally was to see Long Fei. Long Fei had not returned for a long time. This made it difficult for Chu Changkong to carry out his plans. Yang Yu muttered, I believe that Long Fei will definitely return. At this moment, Chiu Hu walked in with a smile and said, Elder Chu, the auction will start in half an hour, why are you still here? Your pill is the #1 item in the auction. Chu Changkong's heart was filled with anger, as he looked at Chiu Hu in annoyance. What are you doing here? Do you need to mind my business? Do you want me to tell you when I'm going to the auction? Elder Chiu, are you so bored that your balls hurt? If you're so free that your balls hurt, find a piece of hempstone and grind your eggs, Chu Changkong shouted. Chiu Hu's face became ugly, and he shouted coldly, Chu Changkong, what kind of attitude do you have? Chu Changkong said, I have this kind of attitude, what can you do? With a belly full of anger that he didn't know how to vent, Chiu Hu ran over and crashed into his barrel of gunpowder. The corners of Chiu Hu's eyes turned sinister as he said coldly, Chu Changkong, I am here to remind you why your trash, Long Fei, has not returned yet. The competition that I promised to compete with young master of martial prowess mansion is about to begin. He's yours. Where is he now? If you don't come, HMPH. Then you will have to personally come out to apologize to martial prowess mansion. Chiu Hu said coldly, I don't think he will come back, right? Ha ha ha. Chu Changkong's brows tightened, and said, you told young master of martial prowess mansion to wait, who said he wouldn't return? He will definitely trample young master of martial prowess mansion to death on the stage. Chiu Hu sneered, and said, you can return? All right. Then we'll see. Chiu Hu walked out of the hall with a look of disdain, and thought with a sneer in his heart, Chu Changkong, Long Fei will definitely not be able to come back. If he doesn't, you will have to come forward and apologize. You will lose all of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's face, and adding the inaction of your ranking in the pellets, at that time. The Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance branch of the Lianyu Castle is mine, ha ha ha. We'll see. Elixir were top secret. Even Chiu Hu didn't know that, otherwise he definitely wouldn't be thinking this way. In the lobby, Chu Changkong frowned. He was angry just now, but he was in a passive state. If Long Fei did not appear, all of his possibilities would have been dissolved. Brother Long, oh Brother Long, are you trying to kill me? Chu Changkong laughed bitterly in his heart. In another place, Ghost's Cave. A few assassins fell to the ground, and were killed by the Queen of Blood Moon in a blink of an eye. Very rough. Very cruel. However, she looked at Long Fei the same way she would look at her master. She was obedient and didn't dare to move the slightest bit. Chapter 1238, One Fist Superman Skill. Chapter 1238, One Fist Superman Skill. Long Fei said, are you really not coming with me? Queen of Blood Moon's face was filled with reluctance as he said, I still have a little while before I can break through, to leave this place, so. Husband, if you want to come visit me often. Long Fei laughed, don't worry, I will definitely come. And then, the Queen of Blood Moon's fingertip moved, gently pressing against Long Fei's forehead. The crescent mark between her eyebrows flashed with a red light, and also at this moment. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Blood Moon Sacred Art. Do you wish to fuse it? Huh! Long Fei trembled, and said, this is your sacred art's power, why are you? Queen of Blood Moon smiled happily, you are the true power of my sacred art, everything I do is yours, including my life. What does a mere Blood Moon spell count for? This was the power of dozens of years of cultivation. He gave it without hesitation. Long Fei did not know that if he had known, he would not have wanted it at all. It was only because Queen of Blood Moon knew about this that he was able to suddenly pass the power of the sacred art to Long Fei. Long Fei was grateful in his heart as he hugged Queen of Blood Moon and kissed him. Queen of Blood Moon's body went soft, and became hot once again. His body started to exude an enchanting aura, and the primal energy beneath Long Fei started to stir. However, today was the auction, so Long Fei had to hurry back. Following that, Long Fei whispered into Queen of Blood Moon's ear, wait for me, I will come back to find you. Finished. Long Fei landed on the fire unicorn's back and said, return to Lianyu Castle. The fire unicorn whizzed and instantly disappeared into the horizon. Queen of Blood Moon looked at the flames which had disappeared in the sky, and muttered, husband, you have to come back. Immediately, The look in Queen of Blood Moon's eyes became resolute, and he thought to himself, no way, I need to break through as soon as possible, and try my best to fly with my husband in pairs. 3 days. In these 3 dreamlike days, even when Long Fei recalled it again, he felt like he was dreaming. If one considered it to be par, then Queen of Blood Moon was his second woman. It was the longest and the most satisfying time Queen of Blood Moon. Long Fei thought, I will definitely come back. It was also at this time. Long Fei opened up the system to check on the Blood Moon divine art that the Queen of Blood Moon had given him. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for combining Blood Moon divine art for obtaining 100 experience points, 100 holy source points, and a special 100 points reward. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Queen of Blood Moon's mark. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering his partner's system. System, partner system population, 1, Queen of Blood Moon, system description. The more partners a player had, the less experience they would need to level up, and the more demon beast experience they would gain. Looking at the description, Long Fei was startled. He smiled sinisterly. Isn't this the same as telling me to open the 3,000 inner palaces? Ha ha ha. I like it. I have to find a way to summon all of the Gods Martial Continent's women here. How do I activate the Gods Martial Sects Guild? Only when the Gods Martial Sects Guild is activated, is it possible for Long Fei to summon the guild's level increase, which is to say, summon all of the guild's members to the Chaos Realm. In order to level up quickly, we have to summon them all. And if the Chaos Realm still walks the path of the Gods Martial Continent, then I won't be happy. I want to fight for hegemony. I want to let my brothers dominate my Chaos Realm. I want to enter my ancient holy battlefield. I want to bring all of my brothers in. This was what Long Fei wanted to do. It was impossible to not have the support of an influential power in the Chaos Realm. It could be said that every step he took was difficult. Any power could swallow you up. In the Gods Martial Continent, you could be a rogue cultivator, but in the Chaos Realm, it was not possible to be alone. One had to have a strong power backing them, so it would be better to create a strong power by oneself. The opening of the association was inevitable. Long Fei stopped his thoughts and turned to look at the energy that he had just absorbed from the Blood Moon divine art. He realized that the energy had not fused into his body and was instead absorbed by a technique. Moon Break. At the beginning, Long Fei could not train in this technique. But now, it was glowing with a red light, and it had become a Blood Moon Punch instead of Moon Splitting Strike. These were not what Long Fei was concerned with. He only cared about one thing: could he cultivate it? His current cultivation technique was a little lacking. Long Fei moved. Cultivate. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for training Blood Moon Punch. 100 points, 100 special rewards for training Holy Source. Skill path, Blood Moon Punch, available to be upgraded, level, explosive god damage, destroyed consumption, 100,000 Holy Source points description. This cultivation technique only has one move destroyed. Damn. What is this? Destroying with one move, is this the power of a superhuman punch? Long Fei muttered. Seeing the 100,000 Holy Source S being exhausted, Long Fei's heart trembled again, and he said, 100,000 Holy Source S? Do you King know that I just happen to have 100,000 Holy Source S? Exhausted all of the Holy Source. In exchange for this destructive power? If it's a fist with superhuman strength, a fist that can exterminate the spirit, then I, your father, am rich. Long Fei was excited. One punch was enough to destroy them like a main gun. With a single move, he was instantly killed. Just like that. However, when Long Fei saw the word upgradable after the name of the technique, his heart became even more excited. He felt more and more that this was just a punch among a fist of Superman. No matter how strong, a punch will determine life and death. Ha ha ha. Now we have something to play with. Long Fei's mouth hooked up as the idea said to the fire unicorn, quickly, hurry to the auction. What should we do? Long Fei still hasn't returned. Seems like. Chu Changkong did not dare to think about what had happened to Long Fei, but at this time, he could not control himself from thinking about such things. Until now, Long Fei's figure still could not be seen. What did this mean? Did he escape? The only possibility was that something had happened to Long Fei. There were many people who were eyeing Long Fei covetously in the Lianyu Castle, such as the Bounty Gateess, the 10,000 Alliance sect, the Hell Gateess, and even the Divine Might King Manor. Anyone could kill Long Fei. These powers were simply too powerful. If they were to make a move, Long Fei would simply be unable to resist them. Another possibility was that Long Fei had died in Ghost's Cave, while Chu Changkong was feeling anxious. The people from the Bounty Gate were anxious as well. Why can't I see the target? It was the same for the disciples of the WAN True Union. They were all waiting for Long Fei's appearance. Not only was this auction for the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, but it was also the killing of Long Fei by the Bounty Gate, Hellgate, and Myriad Alliance Sec. They were all waiting for Long Fei to appear. Long Fei's life would not be spared today. Chapter 1239, Great Bet. Chapter 1239, Great Bet. The auspicious hour arrived. The auction began. Chiu, who walked up the stage with a professional smile on his face, and said humbly, "Guests, before the auction started, our Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance had prepared a small performance. We, the young master of martial prowess mansion of the Divine Might King Manor, will battle against the newcomers recommended by the Master Kang Long and Elder Chu Changkong. As for the names of the newcomers, I don't know." Chiu, who smiled faintly, and said, "However, a nameless junior will soon become a dead man. We do not need to know his name." He mocked directly. He didn't leave any face at all. The entire venue was in an uproar. Someone recommended by Kang Lan Emperor's chief alchemist, Kang Long? Then what is the background of this kid? Master Kang Long is an alchemist, but the person he recommended is a martial artist. What the heck is this? I guess it's just a joke. Yeah. Many people started whispering to each other. Basically, they did not think highly of Long Fei, because many people knew about the talent of the young master of martial prowess mansion. It was extremely difficult for the top geniuses of the young generation to have a match for him. In the room, Chu Changkong's face darkened. The azure dragon's expression turned sinister as he coldly said two words, "Chiu Hu." He had to be ruthless when stepping on people. Chiu Hu tried his best. This time, he was determined to make Chu Changkong lose all face, and even pull the azure dragon down. Otherwise, just stepping on Chu Changkong would not be enough. Niu Dashan shouted, "What do you mean an unknown junior?" He clearly knew his boss's name, An. Who will die immediately? This person is too arrogant. I'm not in a good mood. Hearing the discussions below, Chiu, who was extremely satisfied, and said, "Master Kang Long and Elder Chu Changkong have recommended him together. This person must be very impressive, right? I heard that he has already cultivated to the Purple Realm." As soon as he finished, the audience roared with laughter. Purple Realm? Young master of martial prowess mansion was already a spirit-level peak realm a few hundred years ago, and you still dare to challenge young master of martial prowess mansion? Is he really a newbie recommended by the Master Kang Long? Is this person stupid? All sorts of mocking laughter rang out. Niu Dashan was so angry that he was about to break out of the room, but he was stopped by Chu Changkong. "You mean my boss? What the hell is he? Is he worthy of belittling my boss?" Niu Dashan's breath was spitting fire. He wanted to pinch Chiu Hu to death. The other people in the room all had unsightly expressions, as they were all holding back their rage. However, if Long Fei did not appear, there was nothing they could do. Furthermore, even if Long Fei appears, Chu Changkong will do his best to stop this competition, because Long Fei will lose, so he cannot possibly be a match for young master of martial prowess mansion in the Sun rank. How could the Purple Realm be a match for someone in the Sun rank? Long Fei was very important. He had to live. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, then hurry up. Don't waste everyone's time. We are here to buy things, not to watch the competition. From high up in the stands, the celestial spirit shouted out. Many people also responded. Chiu, who immediately said, "Everyone, don't be in such a hurry. The auction will naturally be held, and other than the competition, everyone can place a bet as well. I'll be the banker. The expert recommended by Master Kang Long. As for the odds, it's 1-5. The young master of martial prowess mansion is 1. The unknown expert is 5. Everyone bet, everyone accept. In addition, if the expert recommended by Master Kang Long loses the competition, Clan Elder Chu Changkong would have to apologize to young master of martial prowess mansion in front of everyone. At this moment, the Azure Dragon couldn't help but fiercely pull open the curtain, and shouted, "Chiu Hu, what are you trying to say?" Everyone looked over. Many people were shocked. It's really the Master Kang Long. It's really him. He really came. Top alchemist in Chaos Realm. The idol of countless alchemy users. Chiu Hu laughed. "It's nothing, I'm just trying to make the auction more interesting. Master Kang Long, you can bet too." Cluck, cluck. The Azure Dragon tightly clenched his fists, his joints cracked and his anger surged. The audience was in an uproar. "Master Kang Long, is he really a new disciple that you have recommended? Is he a genius of alchemy? Master Kang Long, where is that newbie?" The Azure Dragon was unable to reply. Chiu Hu's face became even more pleased, his voice became heavy, and he suppressed down all the voices. Master Kang Long did not refute. That means that Nameless Jr. was recommended by him. Everyone hurry up and bet. He might even be able to win quite a few profound stones. The atmosphere was stirred up by Chiu Hu. Next, many people began to place their bets. 100 profound stones bet on young master of martial prowess mansion winning. I will pay 300 profound stones. I have 1,000 profound stones. I bet 10,000 on young master of martial prowess mansion S with profound stones. Basically all of them were betting on young master of martial prowess mansion's victory, thinking that everyone knew that it was impossible for young master of martial prowess mansion to lose, so young master of martial prowess mansion revealed a complacent smile. In 3 days, his cultivation had broken through to the Sun Realm, and now he could easily squash Long Fei. Moreover, he thought of a method to deal with the paralyzed ring. Young master of martial prowess mansion sneered in his heart, "Brat, if you dare come here today, you will die here." Amongst the crowd, Fat Men Chen asked softly, "Should we bet? A lot of people bet on that young master of martial prowess mansion or whatever. Should we try our luck?" 1-5. What if I win and I earn big? The celestial spirit muttered, "We don't have much money left." Fat Men Chen softly and did not speak anymore. The celestial spirit gritted its teeth and said, "Fuck, we're going to rob them anyway. We're going to throw caution to the wind. I bet 10 Shen Crystal S that nameless brat will win." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone looked at him. Chiu Hu's mouth curved into a smile, and he blossomed with a smile as he said, "This little brother, do you have that many Shen Crystal S?" The man snorted, *T with a flip of his right hand. 10 Shen crystal flew out and landed in front of Chiu Hu. Everyone was startled. Such a strong force to control one's chi. Chiu Hu's face also changed slightly. He kept the 10 Shen crystal S, letting them open a bill, and asked, "Anyone else betting? If no one is betting, then the match will begin." Nyo Dashan said, "The boss is not here, but the situation cannot be lost. I will bet everything on it." "How much?" Nyo Dashan scratched his head and said, 1 profound stone. Yang Yu's face sank, and instantly stopped Nyo Dashan. Chiu Hu smiled, "No one bet, right? Since no one has placed their bets, then the competition shall begin." At this moment, the auction's VIP entrance opened. A person stood at the entrance as the strong light shone in. He looked down and asked, "Excuse me, are you willing to take all the bets?" Chiu Hu said, "Young master of martial prowess mansion's bets are full, that nameless junior's bets are not limited to even the upper limit." While he was speaking, the person slowly walked in and said, "Sure, then let's play a little. I bet 50,000 Shen crystal. I bet on myself to win." Chapter 1240. Come on stage and die. Chapter 1240. Come on stage and die. I bet on myself. Victory. As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei's appearance was also seen clearly by everyone in the auction venue. Chiu Hu recognized Long Fei at a glance, his eyes shook as he laughed out loud, I never thought that you would actually be back. There was shock in the laughter. The killer that he sent out was powerful. He was actually unable to stop Long Fei. Long Fei also laughed. I'm back. You old dog, and your master must be very disappointed, right? Chiu, whose eyes opened wide, and shouted, Kid, who are you calling an old dog? Long Fei's finger moved as he pointed at Chiu, whose nose, and asked, You, who else could it be? Chiu, whose eyes darkened, anger burst out, and he shouted, Men, seize him. At this moment, Chu Changkong slowly walked out and said, Wait. When Long Fei returned, he was the happiest person there, and there was no need to worry anymore, and furthermore, today's auction was very special, so special that even he did not know how many peak powerhouse were hidden inside. Moreover, today's auction was not about Chiu, whose spirit treasure being the main character, but the elixir. Long Fei was the owner of the elixir. He was extremely important. Chiu, who raised his eyes slightly, and said coldly, Chu Changkong, do you dare to stop me? Chu Changkong smiled faintly, and said, How could I dare to stop you when your elder Chiu has something to do? I just came out to remind you that he has the diamond invitation. If you want to touch him, you have to consider whether or not your own weight is enough. To put it simply, it was as though a powerful pressure was crushing down. Chiu, who had heard of this matter before, but he thought that Chu Changkong was acting. However, in this kind of public environment, Chu Changkong did not have that much guts. Could it be? Is he really special? Chiu, who was shocked. At this time, he wasn't the only one who was shocked in the auction. Many people were incomparably shocked. Diamond invitation. This meant that the person's status was special and precious, and ordinary people simply didn't have the qualifications. The people of Hellgate, the people of Bountygate, and the people of 10,000 Alliance were all shocked in their hearts. Even if Long Fei was once of Hellgate, it was impossible for Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance to give him a diamond invitation card. What happened? Fat Men Chen muttered, Who is this person? So cool. To think that there would be an invitation for a diamond. If ordinary invitation card were powerful, wouldn't that diamond invitation card be heaven-defying? The heavenly spirit shrugged. Who knows who he is? He should be a descendant of some powerful powerhouse. Aoya glanced at the distant Long Fei. The four of them had no idea that it was actually Long Fei. Their appearances had all changed. How could they possibly recognize a completely different person? Chiu, whose eyes darkened, and he said coldly, Chu Changkong, you gave out the diamond invitation card without permission. I will definitely tell headquarters about this matter. The identity of the diamond invitation card was precious and he could not move against it. This was the rule of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Chu Changkong laughed. You can go and complain now, it's not your first time anyway. If you have the ability, you can do it now. Chiu, who coldly snorted, and said, I will go. But, not now. I'm still waiting for the show. Kid, bet 50,000 Shen crystal wins. Fine, I'll accept it, but can you take out 50,000 Shen crystal? Just with a diamond invitation card like you have to take out the money, Chiu, who heavily disdained. Young master of martial prowess Mansion mocked, 50,000 Shen crystal. Do you King know how many 50,000 of them are? A country bumpkin shouldn't be showing off here. 50,000 Shen crystal. This was an extremely large number. Even a first-rate family would not be able to take out this many Shen crystal. It was even more impossible for him to obtain a pill that he had only been in the Chaos Realm for a few months. However, Long Fei was not an ordinary person. He could not take out 50,000 Shen crystal, but he did have a lot of items that were of equal value. Just as Long Fei was talking, Master Kang Long said, I will be wagering my 50,000 Shen crystal. This is my gold card, there are 50,000 Shen crystal inside. While speaking, Master Kang Long threw the gold card out. He didn't even blink. 50,000 Shen crystal without blinking? How grand was this? Everyone was shocked. Kang Long, oh Kang Long, this money must be all that you have left. Today, I'll let you become a pauper. If you don't have this money, I'll see where the spirit grass of your alchemy will come from. Long Fei looked at the Master Kang Long at the private box's window and said, Thank you, Big Brother Kang. Brothers, greetings. Many people were shocked in their hearts. The azure dragon was not proud at all. Instead, he was very humble. His posture was very low, and revealed a smile. "You're too polite. What is this little money to you?" Chu Changkong muttered. "So what? Tilda, is this the money Kang Lan Emperor gave you to predict the future of alchemy? If you lose, I want to see how you will report your loss to the Kang Lan Emperor." A smile hung on the azure dragon's face, and cold sweat covered his back even though the center of his palm. If Long Fei lost, it would be as Chu Changkong had said, he really couldn't account for it. However, Kang Long still remained stubborn. "I can't stand Long Fei's scene. He's my sworn brother, so even if he loses, I have to support him. Besides, Long Fei still had her elixir to auction. How much was this elixir worth? It must be a lot more than 50,000 Shen crystal." Master Kang Long was not worried. Chiu Hu laughed and said, "Since Master Kang Long is willing to pay, then everything is fine. Seems like the Master Kang Long views this kid very highly. Such a huge sum, but maybe you still don't know, but young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion has already broken through the Sun rank, and your 50,000 Shen crystal S. I thank you." As soon as he finished, Master Kang Long's brows shook as he thought to himself, the news is indeed true. Sun rank. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's talent is really amazing. This time, this kid is even less of an opponent. Ha ha ha. I just bet 3,000 profound stones on young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion to win. Looks like I can earn a lot. Chen Tianfei looked depressed and said, "Tianling, we've lost miserably this time. 10 Shen crystal, all our savings, we're done for now. I'm going to starve again." The same was true for the Sky Spirit. "Damn, I was tricked by this slut. I should have revealed their cultivation levels earlier." Sun Realm. What the heck are you doing now? The four King Kong were all stunned. This was a gamble that he had to lose. If one were to fight a purple realm at the Sun rank realm, just the difference in level alone was more than 10 or 20 levels. How could one fight? A completely crushed existence. It's over, it's all over. My 10 Shen crystal. The Sky Spirit wanted to cry, but had no tears. At this moment, young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion instantly jumped onto the stage, the sword in his hand pointed. He pointed at Long Fei and said, "Kid, come up and die." Chapter 1241 Explosive Punch. Chapter 1241 Explosive Punch. Chu Changkong frowned. The Sun rank young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion was even holding a sword. What did this mean? This meant that Long Fei might not be able to unleash his numbing power, so this meant that he had no hope left. At this moment, Chu Changkong looked at Long Fei and said, "If you don't want to die from being forced, no one can force you." Chiu Hu immediately asked, "Chu Changkong, what do you mean by that?" Chu Changkong ignored him and looked at Long Fei instead. Chiu Hu laughed coldly. "Retreat? Ha ha ha." Chu Changkong, "If that's the case, then even if he loses, you must apologize to the young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion in front of everyone." Chu Changkong did not care about all these. Even if he was going to die, he wouldn't even frown. What was an apology? Right now, he only cared about Long Fei's life. Many powerhouses were watching, as they waited for Long Fei to arrive. Long Fei said slightly, "Big brother Chu, do not need to worry, some people like to be despicable. If you do not give him a slap on the face, he will continuously fly in front of you like a fly. The best way to deal with such a despicable person is to kill him with a slap." Finished. Long Fei slowly walked up the stage. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion sneered, "Country bumpkin, I thought you had escaped. I didn't think that you would really dare to come. That's great. I want you to kneel in front of me in front of everyone. Ha ha ha." Long Fei said coldly, "Are you done talking blind? Can we start?" Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's gaze turned cold, his eyes were filled with killing intent. The power of his Sun rank cultivation instantly burst forth, and he shouted, "Prepare to kneel down." As soon as he finished, the young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's long sword cut through the air. His figure was like 1,000 layers of illusions, directly sealing the entire auction stage. Myriad transformations, myriad illusion. Peak grade 9 sword technique. This sword art. I can't defend at all. This kid is dead for sure. The young master of martial prowess mansion is indeed the young master of martial prowess mansion. To actually be able to cultivate the infinite change sword art to such an extraordinary stage, forget about the purple realm, even people with a higher cultivation level might not be able to withstand it. Chu Changkong frowned deeply. The azure dragon's fists were clenched tightly, even his palms were wet. Niu Dashan was the same, his mouth agape as he looked at the stage, and thought to himself, "Boss, you can do it." Yang Yu and Yang Wonu were also extremely worried. The guests around the auction were all watching with expressions of watching a show, and most of them thought that Long Fei was about to die, and that he would not be able to stop young master of martial prowess mansion's sword technique. Long Fei slightly raised his eyes. Buzz. Boom. A spirit level 6 cultivation burst forth. Many people slightly tensed up. Spirit level? Didn't you say the purple realm? He broke through in just 3 days. And it's even a 6th grade spirit level aura. However. So what? Even if he's at the 9th level, he's still not a match for someone at the sun rank. He's still going to die. Everyone was shocked. Although Long Fei's cultivation level had shocked them, they could not change the outcome. Young master of martial prowess mansion also sneered, "Spirit level, die for me too." All kinds of illusions appeared, and the layers of sword shadows came crashing down. Long Fei's right foot slightly tilted to the side and retreated half a step. His right arm sank and both eyes slowly closed. His left hand moved slightly, using the suck star over China's perception of the blood vein's power to search for the location of the young master of martial prowess mansion. The moment the long sword fell, the suck star over China sensed the location of the young master of martial prowess mansion, and immediately in front of this lightning bolt, the power that was brewing in his right arm exploded, blood moon pun. With a slight movement of his fist, he sent it flying without any hesitation. It struck on the tip of young master of martial prowess mansion's sword. Flesh fist against the young master of martial prowess mansion's spirit sword? Are his flesh fists made of iron? This kid must be retarded. The magic weapon can pierce through his entire arm. Niu Dasan called out. Boss Chu Changkong's brows tightened up, and the idea sent a sound transmission to him. Protect him. Master Kang Long's heart sank as well. To a alchemy master, his hands could not receive any damage, otherwise he would not be able to control the fire. If his arm was destroyed, it would be equivalent to being crippled. Their hearts rose to their throats. Chiu Hu, however, laughed complacently. 50,000 Xian crystal, this father is rich, ha ha ha. Chu Changkong, let's see how proud you all are of yourselves and how arrogant you are. Ha ha ha. All of them will be under my feet. Just you wait, I will not let you stay in Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance any longer. Young master of martial prowess mansion also had a face full of satisfaction as he said, even if you know my true form, so what? With a sinking force, he pierced forward heavily. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose as he sneered, my arm is crippled. Hee hee. In that instant, the value of the 100,000 points disappeared, and all the energy of the holy source entered Long Fei's right arm. Buzz. Long Fei's right arm shot out an extremely strong aura of holy source. In the dark corner of the auction, a man's face was filled with shock. Holy source explosion? The holy source instantly transformed into strength. This sacred art. Not bad. At least it can be considered an intermediate-level divine ability. Crack. Clang. Long Fei's fist was unstoppable as it collided heavily against the long sword. The speed was too fast and the strength was too strong, as though thousands of tons of strength had suddenly roared at him, causing him to be caught off guard and unable to react at all. Young master of martial prowess mansion's pupils suddenly shrank as he roared loudly, "Ah!" He punched out. Long Fei's figure moved. Rumble. With a loud muffled sound, Long Fei's body passed through young master of martial prowess mansion's body, his fist dripping with blood. Drip, drip. This was the only sound left in the entire auction. Suddenly, with a pu sound, young master of martial prowess mansion spat out a mouthful of black blood. His body trembled as he said in a heavy tone, "Country bumpkin, you're not my opponent at all, you won't be able to beat me, you." Long Fei sneered, "Don't be AF** King B** starred. While they were talking, Long Fei slowly turned around, and his gaze sank as he said, "Explode for me." Boom. Blood slowly flowed out from the top of young master of martial prowess Mansion's head as Long Fei said the word explode. When his blood volume fell to the ground, it immediately turned into 0, and his body swayed a few times. Bam! He fell to the ground, one punch, one instant kill. Blood Moon Punch. The power of one punch in Superman mode. A critical hit of 100,000 holy source points. One punch determined life and death. This feeling. So cool. As if it had exploded, Long Fei was extremely excited in his heart. This is only a first-grade Blood Moon Punch. If I bring out the level increase, it will definitely become one of the punch Superman punches, and die with one pun. It was also at this time. Everyone was shocked. He was scared stiff by this sudden scene. The master of martial prowess Mansion was furious, but the killing intent was strong. Chapter 1242, 3 seconds Sun Wukong Possession. Chapter 1242, 3 seconds Sun Wukong Possession. It was too fast. It was so fast that everyone thought they were seeing things. If not for young master of martial prowess Mansion lying on the ground, they would have truly thought that it was an illusion. How is this possible? Chiu, whose voice was trembling, his legs were growing weak, and his mind was spinning. He couldn't figure out what had just happened. What had happened? When everyone was still in shock, the master of martial prowess Mansion's murderous aura soared to the sky. He jumped from his seat and flew straight to Xiong Longfei. He struck the top of Xiong Longfei's head with a palm. How powerful was the master of martial prowess Mansion? A super powerhouse of the Star Realm, not to mention Long Fei, who was currently without a holy source. Even if he had enough value, he still wouldn't be a match for him. Give me back my life. The master of martial prowess Mansion's pressure continued to crush him like an avalanche. Long Fei's heart suddenly sank, as though it was about to crack, and felt incomparable discomfort. The situation went out of control. Many of the women screamed out, "Oh my God! It's over. It's all over. He's dead for sure." Nyo Dashan roared, "Boom!" The king bull's blood erupted. Like a mad bull charging down, it pounced towards master of martial prowess Mansion's back and shouted, "Boss, run." The azure dragon roared, "Master of martial prowess Mansion, you dare?" Chu Chongkong's face turned pale white. Everything happened too fast, so fast that it was hard to predict what would happen in the next second. Demon Ox's speed was just too slow. The furious master of martial prowess Mansion did not care about anything. He only wanted to kill Long Fei. The pain of losing a son was heartbreaking. He was just a son, yet he could do nothing but watch him die in front of him. This sort of feeling only made him even more infuriated. Long Fei must die. Give me your life. After throwing out that palm attack, Long Fei stood in place without being able to move at all. The feeling of his fate in someone else's hands was extremely difficult to bear. Unhappy. He felt extremely displeased. This unhappiness was linked to the golden cudgel, and a sharp light flashed across the eyes of the monkey inside the golden cudgel at that moment. The system suddenly sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 3 seconds of Sun Wukong possession power. Do you want to start? At the same time, the energy values that the golden cudgel absorbed disappeared. The power of 2 ancient spiritual artifacts was exchanged for 3 seconds. This. Long Fei secretly clicked his tongue, at this time caring about the mother asterisk's death setting the house on fire. If someone wanted to kill him, then he had to do it, and angrily roared in his heart, "Activate." Buzz. With the fall of the idea, the strong power of the golden cudgel was activated. "I, old son, am here as well." A voice rang out from within Long Fei's body. This voice was extremely familiar. It was the voice of the great sacred Sun Wukong of the Sky Spill, and his power was activated within Long Fei's body. Long Fei clenched his right hand. Boom. The golden cudgel landed in his hands, his eyes flashed with fire. The power of a samisen true fire. You want me to die? Then let's see who the F***K dies today. Long Fei roared in anger. He grabbed the golden cudgel and smashed down with his staff. This was not Long Fei's power, it was the power of the Sun Wukong. This was the power of a great saint. With this one staff strike, all of his strength was thrown out. Boom! 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 The air exploded. With an unstoppable force, Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's pressure instantly turned into dust. When the golden cudgel descended, Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's body sank and his face suddenly changed. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. He could only endure. Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's body flashed with a golden light as a powerful defense was released. However, in front of the power of the Sun Wukong, all of his defensive powers were like paper tigers. Boom! Instantly. Immediately after, Master of Martial Prowess Mansion fell to the ground with a loud thud. A long line of blood appeared above his head. Phut! Blood spurted out wildly from his wounds. His body was breaking apart, piece by piece. Bam! Fresh blood shot out like strands of silk. His whole person was dead. A one-hit kill. Long Fei's gaze swept across the entire area, and in the end, stared at Chiu Hu. The golden cudgel in his hand shook violently. Wang! A halo of energy shot out. Long Fei shouted, "Who else? I'm only going to ask one question. Who else can it be?" His voice crushed the entire audience. Chiu Hu could not withstand the pressure and knelt onto the ground with a thump. His body trembled and his face became as pale as paper, unable to say a single word. The power that erupted from Long Fei's body was simply too terrifying. An indescribable terror. The whole place was shaken. No one dared to breathe too loudly. Their minds were crushed, and their sea of consciousness was crushed as well. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Master of Martial Prowess Mansion for obtaining 800,000 experience, 100,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Golden Shield. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Mighty Blood Vein. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 10,000 Xian Crystal. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at Spirit level 7. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the upgrade reward. The reward is the Ancient Spiritual Treasures Dragon Subduing Rod. Ding! The Ancient Spiritual Treasures Golden Shield has been absorbed. The Golden Cudgel's energy will be filled up layer by layer. Ding! The Dragon Subduing Rod has been absorbed. The Golden Cudgel's energy will be filled up layer by layer. The system beep continued to ring. At this time. Ding! 3 seconds Sun Wukong possession time is over. 3 seconds. The time left was too short. It was so short that Long Fei didn't even have time to properly experience his strength before he was done for. Let me have some fun too. 3 seconds, it's too short. I'll shoot in a second. Long Fei muttered in his heart. He was extremely excited. The power that he could absorb in 3 seconds was invincible. Now, he was even more certain that the power of the second level of main artifact must be from the Sun Wukong. When his energy is filled up, what will it be like? Did the Sun Wukong rush out from the Golden Cudgel? Or should I say, I can completely fuse with the power of the Sun Wukong? Wow! Long Fei swallowed his saliva. It could be said that this was even more enticing than a peerless beauty taking off her clothes. Regardless of that power, this daddy will definitely feel great, ha ha ha. I'm really looking forward to it. Long Fei hated that he couldn't completely fill the Golden Cudgel's energy. It's just that. What he needed was Ancient Spiritual Treasure S. He could not use Berserk, so he could only go kill the monsters or search for them himself. If he could use his Berserk energy to explode, Long Fei would quickly explode. After the 3 seconds of possession was over, the pressure in the auction place disappeared. Many people took deep breaths as they finally regained their senses. The heavenly spirit in the crowd looked at Long Fei, who was standing on the stage, and muttered, "Seems like the boss has a personality." At this moment, Long Fei walked to Chiu Hu's side and coldly asked, "Elder Chiu, shouldn't you give me my 250,000 Xian crystal?" Chapter 1243 Have the powers in your body awakened? Chapter 1243 Have the powers in your body awakened? Chiu Hu was already scared witless. What young master of martial prowess mansion could casually crush him? Now, even his father master of martial prowess mansion was killed by a bat. Just how strong was this Long Fei? No wonder the master Kang Long called him brother. Now, Chiu Hu finally understood why Long Fei could get his hands on the diamond invitation card. Of course. In fact, he had no idea why. Looking at Long Fei's devouring eyes, she said weakly, I can't take out that many Shen crystal, I. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose as he coldly laughed. You can't take it out? I don't care if you can take it out or not. If you can't, then use your life to pay for it. 250,000 Shen crystal. Who could take it out at once? Long Fei was very clear that Chiu Hu could not take it out, but in the beginning, he was so arrogant and ridiculed her, but as long as he could not bring out Long Fei, he would not let him go. Chiu Hu's body trembled even more violently as he said, Master, 250,000. I really don't have that many. Sure. There's not that much that can be paid with your life. The golden cudgel in Long Fei's hand pointed, pointing at Chiu Hu's face. Chiu Hu's face turned white. He immediately looked at Chu Changkong in the private box and said, Elder Chu, I was wrong, I shouldn't have gone against you. Please help me. Master Kang Long, please plead for me. I really can't take out that many Shen crystal. He kowtowed continuously. Since the master of martial prowess mansion was already dead, how could he be a match for Long Fei? He admitted defeat before the match even began. Chu Changkong also did not expect that Long Fei would actually be able to unleash such a powerful force. He was extremely shocked in his heart, and at the same time, incomparably excited. Not just him. Master Kang Long was the same, both shocked and excited. Good boy, I really couldn't tell, as expected. He's extraordinary, a super genius. Hellgatess of the Hellgate are truly not simple. At the same time, the people of the Hellgate, the people of the Bounty Gate, and the people of the Thousand Alliance sect all had drastic changes in their expressions. If it was them, they too would not have been able to resist the power that Long Fei had unleashed. That kind of power was too terrifying. Long Fei's strength had exceeded their expectations. At the same time, they were secretly glad that they didn't act in advance. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. Long Fei reassessed his strength. If they didn't take action against Long Fei today, they would have to reconsider. Chu Changkong looked at Chiu Hu, who was begging for mercy, coldly laughed, and said, Earlier, it was you who pretended to be cool with the bet, to come here to plead for mercy. Elder Chiu, what do you think we are? Master Kang Long immediately shouted, If you can't take out the money, then use your life to pay for it. This is already considered cheap, but with your lowly life, how can you resist 250,000 Shen crystal? Chiu Hu's face turned white, and said, Elder Chu, since we are all elders of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, please beg for me. A 250,000 Shen crystal would really kill him if they couldn't take it out. At this moment, a man walked out from behind the auction stage. He was roughly the same as an ordinary person, with no aura fluctuations coming from his body. He walked out from behind the scenes and lightly said, I'll take out his 250,000 Shen crystal. The auction will continue. As if he was his savior, Chiu Hu turned and looked at the man, her face darkening as she kneeled on the ground. President Chu Changkong's face also changed. Many people in the auction were secretly shocked. Even the Xiao Yarrow president is here. It seems that this auction is not normal. Is it for that volume question of God? The volume question of God is the ultimate item. I heard that this item can be entered into the tower question of God. That's a godlike place. I heard that the tower question of God is a huge power, one that stands above any power in the chaos realm. Only those who have the divine potential can enter. Once you enter the tower question of God, that would be equal to half of the super geniuses entering the divinity. Volume question of God is the admission ticket for tower question of God, but whether or not we can enter the tower question of God is unknown. The volume question of God and the tower question of God were continuously together. However, as for what kind of existence these tower question of God were, no one could say for sure. Someone was a heavenly God tower, and as long as one entered, they would be able to reach the God realm. Some people said it was a treasure vault, and that it was the Chaos Realm's endless spirit treasure trove. Some people even said that he was a tower of hell. A lot of legends. Without question, the tower question of God was the most mysterious secret of the Chaos Realm. The appearance of the volume question of God indeed attracted a lot of competition from the powerhouse, but it was not enough to attract the president of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Long Fei's expression changed slightly. He could see that the man in front of him was not simple, and smiled. Since someone is willing to pay, then your little life will be saved. However, I want it right away. Xiao Yarrow president smiled faintly and said, no problem. Follow me, I will give you the 250,000 Shen crystal. Finished. Xiao Yarrow president looked coldly at Qiu Hu. It was this ice-cold gaze that caused Qiu Hu's heart to tremble. This I was punishing him with a death sentence. Long Fei did not hesitate. He needed money at this time to buy two things, the 7-star Herba and 9 Young Divine Technique. He had to buy these two things no matter what. Therefore, he had to obtain these 250,000 Shen crystal. Long Fei went to the backstage of the auction. It was also at this time. The man suddenly stood up and said, and your father's money, you don't want to renege on your debt, right? Fat Man Chen suddenly stood up, his fists exploded, cracking his joints. You dare to go back on your word? I will kill him. In full fury. Like a bandit. Sky Spirit gazed at Long Fei's disappearing figure and muttered, this person's personality is similar to Boss and his words are also similar, especially that who else. But. The celestial spirit laughed bitterly as she murmured to herself, I was thinking too much. It's my fault for missing him too much. My boss looks completely different from this person. How could he be my boss? Not just the Sky Spirit. Fat Men Chen, Aoya, Black Knife, and the surrounding staff all had the same feeling. At that moment, he really looked like the boss. However, he was not at all what Long Fei looked like in the God's martial continent, and they could not even recognize him. In a special room. The room was made of a special material, it was like an independent space, and any conversation here was impossible for any heavenly powerhouse to hear even from outside, and Idea were even more unable to enter. Long Fei walked into the private room. Xiao Yarrow president looked at Long Fei, and after looking at him carefully, he asked, you are the former youth master of Hellgate Long Fei? He looked at Long Fei seriously. It was as if he was trying to see through Long Fei. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, youth master of Hellgate? My name is Long Fei. Xiao Yarrow president asked seriously, has the power in your body awakened? It was this question again. Long Fei had heard of this question more than once. What kind of power is hidden in my body? Chapter 1244, Continuing Assassination. Chapter 1244, Continuing Assassination. Back in Water City, the slave owner had said this. When he was in Yuan Yang clan, he had asked this question several times. Long Fei really didn't know what kind of power was hidden in this body. He really didn't know. He had studied this body more than once, but he had yet to discover any special energy. If he couldn't even sense the strength of this body, how could he awaken it? What kind of power is it? It was fine for one person to ask, but it would be different if anyone else in the Youth Master of Hellgate asked. This meant that this body truly hid some sort of powerful strength. This was a power that made people feel fear. In such a short period of time, many people thought that Long Fei's power had awakened. Long Fei revealed a mysterious smile, and said, guess. Xiao Yarrow president was surprised for a moment, then said seriously, if the power in you has awakened, I can cancel the auction and give the volume question of God to you. This time, Long Fei was stunned. Volume question of God, huge treasure, the value of this scroll was incalculable. It could be said that he had spent a lot of effort to obtain this scroll, yet now he was giving it to Long Fei for free? Long Fei was shaken inside, but on the surface, he appeared calm and collected, and asked, why did you gift it to me? Xiao Yarrow president did not answer, but slowly said, the volume question of Goddess are the admission ticket for the tower question of God. If your power were to awaken, with your potential, you should be able to enter the tower question of God. That way, you can obtain the protection of the tower question of God, so no one in Hellgate, Bountygate, or Myriad Alliance would dare to touch you. And Tower Question of God can allow you to soar into the sky, step into the divinity, or even, and immediately choose one to enter the ancient holy battlefield. At this moment, Long Fei was even more shocked in his heart. The Tower Question of God is that strong. The Hellgate, the Bountygate, and the Heavenly Alliance sect. Furthermore, he could even enter the ancient holy battlefield. This was the place that Long Fei yearned for day and night. Han Ba had told him before that if he wanted to change the power of the ancient code, he had to enter the ancient holy battlefield to pull down those mighty sovereigns here from the main temple to obtain power over the ancient code. Main temple. Long Fei wanted to kill him even in her dreams. What the Xiao Yarrow president said was extremely tempting to Long Fei. However, Long Fei didn't lose himself and asked again, "Why did you give it to me? You still haven't answered me." Xiao Yarrow president looked at Long Fei and said, "It's very simple, because your father and I are friends. I am powerless against the tragic changes in Hellgate, and with your power alone, you are not a match for Hellgate. Entering the Tower Question of God is your only way. Long Fei, this is your only choice, but the prerequisite for all of this is for the power in your body to awaken. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to pass the Tower Question of God's test, no matter how powerful you are right now. Everyone only has one chance. If you fail, you will never be able to take the second test." The selection of Tower Question of God were extremely strict. Failure to them was equivalent to giving up. There was no second chance. Every single volume question of God was incomparably precious. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "I will be bidding for the volume question of God, and I will consider whether or not I should enter the Tower Question of God, so I will not trouble Xiao Yarrow president anymore. Can you give me 250,000 Shen crystal now? The auction is about to begin, I don't want to miss it." Xiao Yarrow president was stunned. He did not expect Long Fei to refuse. This piece of volume question of God in front of everyone was an irresistible temptation, but Long Fei rejected it. There were many questions in his mind. Is he not sure? His power had yet to awaken. Did he not want revenge? Long Fei, what are you thinking about and what do you want to do? Don't you know how many people outside want your life? He couldn't say. Because with his Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's power, he was unable to help Long Fei too much. The Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance was not his own, but the Xiao Yarrow family's. He could not drag the entire Xiao Yarrow family into the abyss for Long Fei. He thought that Long Fei would not reject, but now, completely disrupt his plans. Xiao Yarrow president took out a purple diamond card from his chest pocket and said, "There are 300,000 Shen crystal in here, the other 50,000 will be taken as a greeting gift from me, your uncle." In addition, Xiao Yarrow president frowned, then let go of his breath. "There are a lot of people trying to kill you in the outer sect, you must be careful. Your strength is extremely unstable. You know this better than I do. Be careful." And then, Xiao Yarrow president took out another elixir from his bosom. This elixir was given to him by Chu Changkong. He returned it to Long Fei, and said, "This elixir can protect you at a critical moment. You stay by your side. As for today's elixir auction, I will not reveal your name to the public, because this is too dangerous for you. Once this kind of heaven-defying pill is announced, your situation will become even more dangerous than it is now." Without waiting for Long Fei to reject, the elixir entered Long Fei's hands. Xiao Yarrow president said lightly, "You can go." Long Fei was a little touched. This was the first time he felt warmth since entering the Chaos Realm. Long Fei did not say anything and walked out of the private room. At this moment, the auction had begun. A disciple of the Hellgate left the auction, a disciple of the Bountygate and a disciple of the Myriad Alliance sect also quietly left. It was just that. Half a quarter of an hour later, when these people came back, they gave the same answer. Keep moving. He had to get rid of Long Fei. Because the appearance of the Xiao Yarrow president made them even more worried. If Long Fei obtained the volume question of God, once Long Fei truly enters the Tower Question of God, they would lose their last chance. Moreover, The power that Long Fei had revealed today was proof that his powers had awakened. Even if they had not completely awakened, they were still quickly awakening. Too dangerous. In another place, Li Yuanba and the others were also nervously working in secret. To steal the volume Question of God. With the scroll in their hands, they would be able to sell it at an astonishing price. That way, they would have the capital to search for their boss anywhere in Chaos Realm. Amongst the crowd, the celestial spirit was in high spirits. He waited patiently as he muttered to himself, let's start quickly, hey. They did not think too much about Long Fei's appearance just now. Right now, all they wanted was to steal the volume Question of God and sell it. All 8 of them had the same thought. Because they had been waiting in Chaos Realm for a whole 3 years, and after waiting for these 3 years, they had already lost some of their patience. As long as they succeeded this time, they could leave this place and go to every corner of Chaos Realm to find their boss. For this purpose, they could ignore everything else. Chapter 1245 Who the fuck wants you? Chapter 1245 Who the fuck wants you? When Long Fei returned to his private room, the auction had already begun. Seeing Long Fei return to the private room, Yang Yu immediately walked over and asked with concern, "Are you all right?" Chu Changkong was a little excited as he asked, "What did the president tell you?" "Brat, I really did not expect you to be able to instantly kill Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. You're too strong." Master Kang Long also had a face full of smiles. He placed one hand on Long Fei's shoulder and said, "Brother Long, I admire you so much today." "Fuck. Too fierce. Ha ha ha." Look at Chiu Hu's expression, it's as if he saw his ancestor crawl out from a grave. There's no need to mention how depressed he is. Master Kang Long laughed and said. The entire room was filled with happiness, all because of the 2 beautiful one-shot moves that Long Fei had made just now. Long Fei took out the purple diamond card and said, "Big brother Kang, there are 300,000 Shen crystal here. You're 50,000. Kang Long immediately said, "Don't mention it, just buy whatever you want. Even if it's not enough, tell me, even if I don't have it, Elder Chu still has a lot of money." Chu Changkong stared blankly, and said bitterly, "Kang Long, you're pulling me into the water." At this moment, below the stage, the bids were getting more and more intense. 100 immortal crystals. 200. 300 pills. The host walked forward and said, 300. Are there any higher ones? Is there? 300 is a deal. The man who bought the pill laughed excitedly. Ha ha ha. The scorching sun pill is mine now. In the dark. The sky spirit said to Aoya, record that person's appearance. Seeing how pleased he is with himself, I feel displeased. In the event that he doesn't succeed, we'll snatch him away. Every time he saw a few tycoon, the sky spirit couldn't help but say the same words. Oya nodded and didn't say anything more. After a few rounds of auctions, the auction for the pellets was about to be late, and the higher the level of the pellets at the back, the host walked up and said lightly, "The next item is a spirit grass. 7-star herba. This kind of spirit grass has the ability to bathe in blood, and can strengthen the mystical effect of the blood vein. The starting price is 500 Shen crystal, and the bidding price cannot be lower than 50 Shen crystal at a time. The auction begins now." It was also at this time that Long Fei's eyes trembled slightly. His appeared. The 7-star herba was the last spirit grass Long Fei had refined to cure the antidote, and the majority of the reason he stayed was because of this spirit grass. This is a legendary spirit grass. The power of the 7-star herba's star core is very useful for any warrior. It can loosen up their blood and strengthen the blood vein. It can be said to be a rare treasure. Yang Wanu was secretly shocked, and thought, I never thought that there would actually be a spirit grass like the 7-star herba in this world. If I could buy it, I wonder if my daughter's illness. A daughter was everything to him. If he could cure Yang Yu's injuries, even if he had to sacrifice his life, definitely wouldn't even bat an eye. Yang Wanu wanted to bid. However, when he heard the rising prices outside, he stopped and gritted his teeth. He could not take out that many Shen crystal. The bidding outside was too intense. 800 Shen crystal. 8,000 Shen crystal. 1,800 Shen crystal. Do you know the value of this legendary spirit grass? I bid 3,000 Shen crystal. The price continued to rise. Chu Changkong stroked his beard and said slightly, I didn't think that there would be so many people fighting over the 7-star herber's legendary spirit grass. Putting all these aside, this spirit grass possesses a great amount of power. It can be directly consumed without being refined. Its power is a sharp weapon for the blood vein. Just like how humans develop once again, this kind of power is irreplaceable. If this pill is successfully refined, then the effects of this elixir will be extremely strong. Master Kang Long and Chu Changkong casually chatted. Yang Wanu's face became more and more anxious. The price had already reached a point where he could not accept it. Even if he sold himself, he would not be able to take out that much money. However, he continued staring at the auction. The thoughts in his mind were the same as the thoughts in the sky spirit. No matter who obtains it, he would snatch it with one word. At this moment, the same thought crossed the sky spirit's mind. Damn, a tiny spirit grass could actually be robbed by so many people. It must be valuable, hey. Since it is seen by me, it is mine. The elixir let out a cold laugh. Fat Men Chen said in a low voice, Tianling, why have you become like boss? Say it's yours when you see something good. The sky spirit grinned. Of course. He's the boss, so of course we have to learn from him. Huh. Fat Men Chen laughed. So boss is the biggest bandit leader, ha ha ha. Aoya's eyes turned cold as she glared at Chen Tianfei. Fat Men Chen was suddenly like a frosted eggplant, not daring to move an inch. 30,000 Shen crystal going once. Is there anything higher? Is there anything higher? The price of a spirit grass that was auctioned was thousands of times higher than those spirit pellets. This kind of difference also made the situation with the spirit pellets more depressing, and Chiu Hu, who was backstage, sneered in his heart, Chu Changkong, you're too useless. I still have a chance. Wait and see how I'll crush you. Chiu Hu did not die. He calmed down, and his hatred rose to the skies. He was determined to make use of this auction to trample Chu Changkong and the others once again. Undying of evil. 30,000 Shen crystal going twice. Is there anything higher? A man stood up with a fan in his hand and a complacent expression on his face. Just as the host was about to hammer the trading hammer, Long Fei suddenly said, 40,000 Shen crystal. Boom. The moment he said those words, the entire room exploded into an uproar. Everyone turned to look at the VIP box. It was also at this time. The man kept his fan and said, 41,000 Shen crystal. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately shouted, 50,000 Shen crystal. The man's expression changed as he stared at the VIP box with a fiery gaze. Do you want to go against me? Do you know who I am? Long Fei walked out of the private room, stood on the windowsill, and said coldly, I don't care who you are, but continue to bid if you have the ability. Yang Wanu looked at Long Fei. He was very nervous and excited. Master Kang Long was a little doubtful. He asked in a low voice, Brother Long, what do you want this 7-star herber for? With your blood vein inherent skill, you don't need it. Long Fei looked at Yang Yu and said faintly, I have my own uses for it. Chu Changkong added, the person below the stage is the young Valley Master of Heaven's End Valley. His strength is extraordinary, so this spirit grass should be bought for his father. Long Fei said, impossible. Young Valley Master Tian Ju's eyes darkened, and said slightly, Kid, leave a chance for us to meet in the future. I am not the trash of Martial Prowess Mansion, and if you provoke my Sky End Valley, you will not have a good ending. Long Fei disdainfully said, who the F*** K wants to fuck you? Future. You, a gay man, you don't call a price. Chapter 1246 Old Lord Taishang's Alchemy Again. Chapter 1246 Old Lord Taishang's Alchemy Again. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Laughter broke out in the auction hall. Be easy to meet in the future. That's not the day, can you see it? The face of the young Valley Master of the Heaven's End Valley sunk, and the two old men beside him immediately stood up, staring at Long Fei with killing intent. It was also at this time. Chu Changkong and Master Kang Long walked out at the same time and became cautious. Young Valley Master's expression sank, and said, "This spirit grass is of great use to me, I hope." "Don't hope. Impossible," Long Fei said resolutely. He must get this spirit grass, and Yang Yu's mission should be completed in less than 2 months. If he missed this opportunity, he might not be able to complete the mission. Failure of the mission was a small matter. The most important thing was Yang Yu's sickness could not always be maintained by the destiny pill, right? Thus, he was determined to win. The young Valley Master's expression became even more unsightly. He clenched his teeth and said, 51,000 pills, if you fight with me again, I will definitely not let you out of this auction house. Master Kang Long became angry and said, "What big words you have there. Was the Heaven's End Valley that amazing? Do you think that you are invincible just because you can concoct some poison pills? Brat, why don't you see what kind of place this is? Who dares to behave so atrociously here? Whoever dares to touch my little brother will be ripped off no matter what the cost of this old man is." Very arrogant. The young Valley Master was not afraid, and said coldly, "Kang Long, you have to figure out what kind of place this is. This is the Lianyu Castle, and the distance from here to my Heaven's End Valley is only a few thousand kilometers. You have to consider whether or not you are qualified to do so." The Azure Dragon was enraged. Long Fei stopped him, and said, "Why are you wasting your breath on him? 60,000 Shen crystal. Just this number alone was enough to slap the young Valley Master in the face. There was a cracking sound and an incomparable amount of pain. Long Fei sneered and said, "Keep shouting. Cluck, cluck, cluck." The young Valley Master's expression suddenly changed. The 60,000 Shen crystal had already exceeded his budget and there was no way for him to raise the price any further. Young Valley Master stared at Long Fei and said, "All right. You just wait and see. Pauper. Stop acting cool if you don't have any money. Just let me wait and see, all right? Look at what? Look at a poor guy like you increasing the price by only 1,000 Shen crystal." Long Fei laughed disdainfully, "You damned gay man. Phut." The anger of the young Valley Master couldn't hold it in and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that he vomited blood. Clang. 60,000 Shen crystal, deal. Following that, Long Fei took out a purple diamond card and handed it over. Soon, the 7-star herber came into Long Fei's hands. At this moment, Long Fei walked into the private box with a flip of his body, as if nothing had happened. The heavenly spirit stared at the room and muttered to himself, "Although you are similar to our boss, you are not our boss after all, so the gun should be stolen. Big Sister Aoya, watch him closely. The purple diamond card on his body is an incredible treasure." Oya lightly nodded again and didn't say anything. "Who?" Long Fei exhaled a breath of air, and the boulder in his heart finally dropped. 7-star herber has finally arrived. Yang Wanu looked at Long Fei and said, "Long Fei, what is your 7-star herber trying to do?" In the beginning, even if 7-star herber did not obtain it, Long Fei did not dare to say it out loud. But now that 7-star herber had gotten his hands on Long Fei, there was no need for him to hide anything. As soon as he finished, Yang Yu was completely dumbfounded as she looked at Long Fei with trembling eyes. In that instant, her tears started to uncontrollably drip down, and she was unable to say a single word. Yang Wanu was also shocked. His body sank down and he was about to kneel down. Long Fei supported Yang Wanu and said, "Uncle Yang, what is the meaning of this?" Kang Long and Chu Changkong were also stunned. They all knew Yang Wanu's identity, and it had only been a month or 2 since they first met him. Yet, Long Fei did not hesitate to offend the Heaven's End Valley, and did not hesitate to spend 60,000 Shen crystal to bid for the 7-star herber. How many such people existed in this world? Both of them were secretly touched. Yang Yu saved me when I was still in Water City. I can only save her now to repay her. Long Fei said slightly, then looked at Yang Yu and said, "Everyone has the right to own the martial arts training, it's just that your power has arrived a little late, but don't worry, as long as you work hard, you will definitely be able to become an exceptional powerhouse." When Long Fei was in God's martial continent, he was also a trash that could not cultivate due to the broken pubes. He could understand Yang Yu's feelings. Following that, Long Fei said slightly, Big Brother Chu, Big Brother Kang, the two of you protect me. I want to refine some medicinal pellets. The Azure Dragon was startled. Are you here with alchemy? Chu Changkong said. The auction still has a few hidden rooms, how about? Long Fei said, no need to go through all that trouble, just a minute will be enough. The Azure Dragon's expression changed again. 1 minute? 1 minute was simply impossible to refine the 7-star herba, this kind of legendary spirit grass. The higher level the spirit grass, the harder it was to refine. The Azure Dragon could not believe it. Chu Changkong also looked at Long Fei, dumbstruck. Long Fei took out his pill furnace. Then, the idea moved and roared in her heart, possession of old Lord Taishang. Buzz. A stream of power activated from Long Fei's body, and immediately afterwards, Long Fei immediately felt a burst of aura from old Lord Taishang, the ancestor of the alchemy. What legendary spirit grass? What was hard to refine? That depends on who. Who is old Lord Taishang? He was someone who knew how to refine elixir for the Jade Emperor in the Heavenly Court. A mere 7-star herba? It wasn't a big deal. Long Fei said too much within a single minute. Only a few seconds were needed. Old Lord Taishang's power was completely released from Long Fei's body. Long Fei did not dare to easily waste a second. The idea moved, and quickly refined it, 7-star herba, spirit communication blood, and a few other high-ranked spirit grass. Upon seeing all these, the Azure Dragon was even more shocked. It's impossible to even refine these spirit grass in a minute. How could it even form a pill? However, he was not finished. The pill furnace rotated crazily, and the spirit grass inside, in an instant, fused with the spirit blood. Old Lord Taishang unleashed a powerful force, causing the golden light to flow into the pill furnace. This kind of possession power could not be seen by outsiders. Long Fei also did his best. Drip, drip, drip. 3 seconds passed. Wang. The furnace stopped working, and the flames released by Long Fei's holy source also disappeared. Old Lord Taishang's power slowly disappeared from Long Fei's body. The time taken for the alchemy to appear was too precious. Long Fei had no choice but to cherish it. The Azure Dragon looked at Long Fei like a fool, and asked full of suspicion, success? Everyone in the room was shocked as they looked at Long Fei. Long Fei's mouth curved upwards, opened the lid of the pill furnace, and smiled. Guess? Chapter 1247, Blue Dragon. Chapter 1247, Blue Dragon fast. Too fast, so fast that it caught people off guard, making them unable to react in time. Was this the speed of his alchemy? A second shot. The entire Chaos Realm did not have such speed. No one could refine a teleportation-level spirit grass in a few seconds, let alone form a pill within a few seconds. It was simply a fantasy story, something impossible. However, the moment Long Fei opened the lid, the Azure Dragon immediately rushed up. Looking at the small golden pellet inside the furnace, he was completely dumbstruck. Chu Changkong also instantly rushed forward, following that with a look of bewilderment. Yang Wanu saw that the spirit pills in the furnace were also the same. Zhong Xian was dumbfounded. He was completely dumbfounded. The 3 faces were still dumbfounded. Niu Dashan moved closer to take a look, and with an excited grin, he laughed. Boss, you're too awesome, ha ha ha. Others can only refine 1 pellet of alchemy at a time, yet you can refine 5 pellets just by eating it. Heh! Long Fei was startled. He did not know that he had managed to refine a few pills. Looking at the 5 pills in the furnace, he was just like a 5 golden egg, lying quietly on the ground. At this moment, Long Fei was also a little dumbstruck. He was extremely shocked and thought to himself, Old Lord Taishang is Old Lord Taishang, he's too awesome. Damn it, what am I going to learn about alchemy technique in the future? Just think of a way for Old Lord Taishang to possess it forever. That's right. I, your father, am truly a genius. He was training the alchemy technique. Too low. Thinking about this, Long Fei started to say, if the alchemy technique can be used by Old Lord Taishang, then what about the refining techniques? And the engraving formation? What about the spirit communication technique? Wow. Why do I feel such a sense of blissfulness rushing over? I can't even block it. Ha ha ha. I want to create a batch of supporting occupations. Long Fei was ecstatic. Just as he thought, since alchemy could be used on old Lord Taishang, then naturally they could be used on super-powerful beings. This was the same principle, and it all depended on one's luck now. Plop. Just when Long Fei was about to say something, Master Kang Long couldn't control his knees at all and directly kneeled down. Brother Long. No, Master Long, please accept me as your disciple. He was going crazy. He felt that he had refined all the pills, he had refined his life into dogs. What is called alchemy? He finally understood it today. His previous methods of alchemy, compared to Long Fei's, were like throwing everything away by 9 days. If he took it out, it would only embarrass himself. What Master Kang Long, what Kang Lan Emperor's chief alchemist? This was simply dog shit. The 3 seconds earlier had been too devastating for the Azure Dragon. Long Fei immediately supported Kang Long and said, "Big brother Kang, what are you doing?" Kang Long shook his head and said, "If you want me to kneel down, then let me kneel. I have no right to stand in front of you." He thought that his alchemy technique was still okay, a top-notch existence in the Chaos Realm. But bullshit. Long Fei was a little anxious as he said, "Big brother Kang, it was just a coincidence. I was only lucky because my alchemy was nothing compared to yours." He couldn't possibly say that he possessed an overpowered person who was an ancestor of alchemy, right? The Azure Dragon looked at Long Fei with doubt. "Luck alchemy? The elixir you gave me last time was also due to luck. Don't lie to this old man. If you don't promise me today, I won't get up." The Azure Dragon's body sank down and once again kneeled on the ground. Very determined. He had never been so determined in his life. Chu Changkong slightly said, "Just promise him, or else he really won't be able to get up." "Who asked you to display the divine alchemy technique?" "I do not know alchemy. If I knew alchemy as well, I would definitely smash the pill furnace and not learn alchemy in my entire life." Chu Changkong laughed bitterly. The alchemy technique that Long Fei displayed was too godly. He had no choice. Long Fei just needed to agree and say, "Okay, but Big brother Kang, let's address you as we are now, and I really can't teach you anything." The Azure Dragon said, "Just let me stay by your side, this is the biggest gift to me." Huff. Long Fei was convinced, and could only give up, and said, "All right, you get up first." Following that, Long Fei took out a refined spirit pellet and gave it to Kang Long, saying, "Big brother Kang, take a look at the attribute of this pellet." "Understood, Master." Since he had already become disciple, Kang Long would not be so formal. Even if Long Fei did not agree, he would still address him as Master. After receiving the pill, the Azure Dragon idea sensed the pill for a while. Then, its face became aghast as it said, "The quality of a pill above the divine level can be called a transcendence pill. The attributes: strengthen the blood vein, let the blood vein level up. It possesses a powerful ability to clear up blood vein. This pill, it is simply a super tonic for blood vein. If 7-star herba is only about strengthening blood vein, then this pill's effects are 10,000 times, no, 100,000 times stronger." The Azure Dragon was incomparably excited. This medicinal pill was simply too awesome. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "Old Lord Taishang didn't disappoint me as expected." Following that, Long Fei took out a pill and gave it to Yang Yu. "Take it, it should be able to cure your illness." Yang Yu's face was filled with tears and he did not know what to say to describe his current state of mind. He carefully received the pellet and then slowly swallowed it. Long Fei said, "There are 4 more here. Uncle Yang, you give me 1. Nyo Das Han, you have been unable to fully unleash the power of your blood vein. Big brother Chu, Big brother Kang, 1 for each of you." Long Fei was not stingy at all. This kind of pill could strengthen blood vein and raise one's level, but it was useless against his devourer's vein, so he had used the suck star over China to sense the surroundings. The blood vein did not boil, which meant that the pill was useless to Long Fei himself. Everyone in the room was stunned. The price of the 7-star herba can be sold for 60,000 Shen crystal, and the price of this pill is at least 600,000 Shen crystal. We cannot afford to pay such an expensive price. Long Fei, you must keep it for yourself. Boss, I don't need it. The moment they spoke, buzz, buzz, buzz. The red light on Yang Yu's body blossomed, rising bit by bit until it eventually formed numerous powerful forces that rushed out, causing the entire auction ground to shake. A string of forces burst out from the room. Everyone looked over. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Long Fei's gaze tensed up and became worried. Will there be any problems? Kang Long laughed excitedly and said, the power of this pill is too strong, nothing will happen to her. Her physique can completely endure it, and your psychic blood seems to be an ancient blood vein. If this kind of blood vein's power is integrated into it, her power will undergo a strong transformation. We'll see. She's going to change. Chapter 1248, Wings of an Angel. Chapter 1248, Wings of an Angel. What happened? What happened to that room? What are the bursts of red light? What a powerful aura of a blood vein. Countless people looked towards the private room. Fat Man Chen said softly, do you want to take advantage of this chaos? Everyone in the hall had their attention focused on the private room. If they were to make a move now, they would definitely be caught off guard. The heavenly spirit immediately shook his head. Our target is the volume question of God. Now that the volume question of God has not come out, don't act rashly. Chen Tianfei slightly nodded and said, all right. The people of Hellgate, Bountygate, and the 10,000 Alliance sect were also tense, not knowing what was happening in the private box. They were also wondering if they should make a move. However, in the end, just like the Sky Spirit, they did not move. Chu Changkong walked out and ordered heavily, no one is allowed to approach this room. Those who disobey, kill. Everyone was shocked again. At this time, the elite guards of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance surrounded the private room. There was even a moon guarding it. This kind of scene shocked everyone present. What happened? Why do I feel a demonic aura growing inside? Bursts of red light, this is the gushing of the blood vein's power. Could it be that the 7-star herba that I bought just now was swallowed? They were all wondering what had happened. The auction came to a halt. This made Chiu Hu very unhappy. It was almost too late for the pill auction, so he was naturally displeased with the sudden turn of events. Chiu Hu shouted coldly, Chu Changkong, what the hell are you doing? Chu Changkong sneered and said, Chiu Hu, what am I doing? I don't need to report to you, right? It's better if you think about how you're going to explain it to the guild leader after the auction. Chiu Hu laughed coldly, the one who needs to be accountable is you, right? Take a look at this year's spirit elixir auction. Other than that spirit grass, is there any other elixirs that are willing to sell for more than 10,000? The Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance spent so many resources on you, it's not to let you waste them. The price of these pills are still not enough. And that Master Kang Long, you guys didn't plot to take the resources from him, right? Chiu Hu seemed to have revived. This auction was his last chance. As long as he could afford to pay a huge price, he would have a chance at survival. Chu Changkong's face sank, and said coldly, Chiu Hu, don't be anxious. He did not mention that the elixir was also in the auction. However, what Chiu Hu said was also true. This year's spirit pellet auction had no special characteristics, it was a completely new concept, there was even no price for it. It could be said that the spirit pellet auction had lost a lot. Chiu Hu disdainfully said, I think you don't need to be a pill master anymore. Go back home and plant sweet potatoes. There's only the last batch of pills left for auction. After this set of pills is auctioned, you, Chu Changkong, will truly have to give an explanation to the president. Chiu Hu laughed coldly, Chu Changkong, I'll see what you can do this time. Ha ha ha. Chiu Hu was complacent in his heart, and wildly laughing. At the same time, the red light in the room was still stronger than before. Yang Yu's body was frantically undergoing change. Yang Wonu was extremely worried. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. They had no way of knowing what was happening to Yang Yu. Was it pain or change? Can you bear it? Suddenly, rumble. A loud sound echoed out. A pair of gigantic white wings on Yang Yu's back suddenly rushed out. These wings were only around 5 meters long, and were wrapped with a thick layer of Xuan'er strength. He spread his wings. Bam! The wall of the room was penetrated, and everyone could see the gigantic white wing. Angel wings! Everyone was shocked. What is this? Is the power of the blood vein cultivated to the exposure realm? How is this possible? Even in the chaos realm, there are not many people who can cultivate to such a level. Who is this person? The hall was in an uproar. The power emitted by this giant wing was too powerful. Long Fei was also dumbstruck, and thought in his heart, damn, he actually became an angel. Buzz. The red light returned. The room returned to its previous calm, except for the pair of wings, which were still there. The interior of the room was a complete mess. At this moment, other than the 3 points where Yang Yu's body was covered by the feather cover and the interior, he could see the rest of his body, which was incomparably exquisite. His body was emitting an aura that made it seem like he was at a loss for words. She was already beautiful, but now she was even more beautiful. Her figure, her skin, her long legs, her small waist. He was invincible. Yang Yu himself was also dumbstruck. Feeling the power within his body, his face was full of excitement as he said, I feel power. I. He was so excited that he couldn't say anything. It was at this time that she suddenly charged forward and directly threw herself into Long Fei's embrace. Insert it into the white wings of the wall sect. Hualala. The whole wall was cut. It was as if his wings were a cutting machine, forming a straight line. Every feather was as sharp as steel. At this moment, the wall of the room collapsed. Everyone stretched out their necks to look. A beautiful lady with a pair of gigantic wings threw herself into Long Fei's embrace and started bawling. What kind of power is this? My God. I'm so envious of him. Who is he? That angel beauty, I'll take it. Let him go, attack me if you dare. The scene caused countless people to feel envious and jealous. Long Fei was also shocked by the sudden hug, but then, his mind was a little dirty, and he was thinking about something completely different. *CK her, wouldn't she be a sunbird? This. Can't I, Shuxian, do you think I can become a sunbird? It was a complete mess. Yang Yu threw himself into Long Fei's embrace and said continuously, thank you. Long Fei lightly patted her back, and said, stop crying, there are a lot of people watching. Yang Yu hugged Long Fei tightly. I don't care, I just want to hug you, and I'm about to cry. He had a small temper. This was even more enviable. Chiu, who coldly snorted, then shouted out loudly, Chu Changkong, do you still want to auction your medicinal pellet? Don't waste our time. Long Fei turned his head to the side, and looked at Chu Changkong. Big brother Chu, which Chiu who is it now? Chu Changkong's heart was also full of fury as he said, Brother Long, can I take this elixir out for auction? I'm very upset right now. Long Fei shrugged his shoulders, and said, of course you can, the pills are yours, you can decide for yourself. In addition, I'm not in a good mood too. This kind of person must be slapped mercilessly, to the point where he doesn't even recognize his mother. Chapter 1249, The Bidding of Super Powerhouse. Chapter 1249, The Bidding of Super Powerhouse. The last batch of elixirs will be auctioned off. At this moment, Chu Changkong immediately injured the stage and let the auctioneer go down, saying, I am Chu Changkong, I have been preparing for this elixir auction. There aren't many new pills this year. Sorry to disappoint. However, this year, there will be 2 types of pellets that will be suppressed. Once these 2 pellets are announced, it will cause a sensation in the entire Chaos realm, and in the Alchemy realm. At this moment, Chiu, who contemptuously said, it even caused a sensation in the Primal Chaos realm and the Alchemy realm. Why didn't you blow it a little, and directly caused a sensation in the 9th heaven, so great that even the gods in the sky would tremble? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Many people laughed. This year's elixir auction was indeed not good enough. Compared to the previous years, there was a huge disparity. Many people had come here for the elixir, but none of them had taken a fancy to the elixir. Chu Changkong slightly smiled and said, I was indeed being conservative just now, and this pellet is indeed able to shock the 9 heavens, to the point that even my god would tremble. Chiu Hu laughed again. Elder Chu, didn't you notice that there was an ox flying above your head? Ha ha ha. He blew it. Who are you trying to coax? With this kind of pill, I'm afraid you would have already taken it out, right? The Azure Dragon hasn't even produced a new pill this year. These pills are all from the previous auctions. Do you think we're stupid? Chu Changkong, stop boasting about the pellets, and cause a sensation in the Chaos Realm and Alchemy Realm. You can just make me tremble a little. Ha ha ha. Many people began to laugh. Chu Changkong did not flare up, because just as Long Fei had said, some people were only shameless. If you did not give him a slap, he would forever be cocky. At this moment, Chu Changkong moved slightly, and took out a golden pellet from his bosom. He carefully placed it on the auction platform. This pellet's name is. Suddenly, he thought about how this medicinal pill didn't have a name. His gaze could not help but look at Xiong Longfei. Long Fei was also thinking about the name of the pill. Chiu Hu loudly mocked, a pellet that cannot even be called by its name. Elder Chu, you really know how to brag. This is the first time I see you being so bragging after being together with you for so many years. The anger in Chu Changkong's heart burned more and more violently. Long Fei was also extremely unhappy. He should have given Chiu Hu a fierce slap just now, and he remembered the process of Yang Yu's transformation just now. From a mortal to a holy angel. Soul formation. Long Fei transmitted his voice to Chu Changkong. God disappear powder. Chu Changkong's heart trembled. He was completely shocked by this name, and only the word spirit transformation was worthy of this pellet. With a heavy voice, he said, this pellet is a God disappear powder. Effects. Simply put, it's 100,000 times stronger than the 7-star herba. To put it more bluntly, the lady in the room just now used the God disappear powder and directly cultivated the blood vein to the level of release outside. Chu Changkong said slightly, the starting price is 100,000 Shen crystal, every bid should not be less than 5,000. The auction begins now. With that, the entire auction venue fell silent. They all looked at Chu Changkong in a daze. They were all suspecting that such a miraculous pill existed in this world. A single pill could allow a blood vein to reach the realm of discharge? This was simply impossible. Chu Changkong did not explain any further and quietly stood there. Chiu Hu was startled at first, but then laughed out loud, and said, Elder Chu, are you stupid? Is there such a pill in the world? Do you take us for fools? The starting price is 100,000 Shen crystal. Have you gone mad with longing for money? Many people were discussing. Everyone was suspicious. It was impossible for a pellet to possess such a mystical power. The blood vein inherent skill was similar to the martial arts training realm, where one had to continuously cultivate in order to slowly increase it, rising all the way to the exposed realm at once. This was simply impossible. At this moment, Xiao Yarrow President walked out onto the stage. Chu Changkong slightly bowed and said, I'll be troubling you, President. Xiao Yarrow President was expressionless as he walked to the side of the God disappear powder. Half a second later, his expression suddenly changed, and he became agitated. He burst with energy, his eyes flashing as he said, This pill. This pill. Everyone was looking at him. Xiao Yarrow President took a deep breath and said, With all my wealth, resources, and head, Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance will guarantee that this pellet will not be weaker than what Elder Chu said. As soon as he finished, Chiu Hu's expression shook. She felt Chu Changkong slapped him hard. She took a step forward and said, President, could it be that you've gotten it wrong? Not waiting for him to finish. Xiao Yarrow President had already landed in front of Chiu Hu, staring at him with gloomy eyes. He said coldly, I do not know how to cherish this chance I gave you. Seems like there is no use in keeping your life. Immediately, his strength surged as a powerful pressure gushed down from the sky. Crack! Chiu Hu didn't have time to react. He was squashed to the ground and kneeled, blood flowing out of his 7 orifices. He was dead. The entire audience was stunned. Long Fei was secretly shocked. What a strong power. With just the idea's aura alone, he was able to instantly kill Chiu, who was in the Sun rank. Powerhouse on the Emperor list. Or is it a higher-level powerhouse? Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Xiao Yarrow president said, "Everyone, let's face it on the head, this pill's attribute is definitely better than what he has said. And, if possible, I hope that this pill can be sold so that I can buy it." Once the pellets were placed on the auction platform, no one from Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance was allowed to participate in the bidding because this would prevent the price from rising. This was a rule of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. At this moment, an hunchbacked old man said from the crowd, holding onto a curved walking stick, "I am Kunlun Zi, I bid 500,000 Shen crystal." Kunlun Zi? What kind of person is he? An old guy with a lurse buried in his neck actually bid 500,000 Shen crystal. Is this person crazy? Does he have that much money? Just as everyone was discussing amongst themselves, another old man stood up. "Since Kunlun Zi bids, then this old wild god will bid 1 million Shen crystal." Immediately increasing the number of Shen crystal by 500,000. Who is the wild god? 1 million Shen crystal? How much is this? Are you crazy? I bid 2 million Shen crystal. An old woman with a head of gold flowers appeared out of nowhere and said lightly, "This old woman needs this pill, please be magnanimous." And then, there were also a few people who did not know their names when they appeared, and all of them called out a price. Every time they increased the price, it would be above 500,000 Shen crystal. Long Fei muttered, "Just who are these people?" The master Kang Long looked extremely excited as he said, "The super powerhouse on the Emperor list and the Son of God ranking are incredible, really incredible. Listen to this bid." The one who was most excited wasn't Long Fei, nor was it the Azure Dragon, but the Sky Spirit. It's their 8 King Kong. Chapter 1250 Mortal Immersion. Chapter 1250 Mortal Immersion. The higher the price, the more they would feel it. If you are able to call out the price, it means that you have brought enough money with you. Thus, the most excited people in the auction wasn't those powerhouses who called out a bid, nor was it Chu Changkong who was from Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. They were all secretly excited. Because, once this vote was successful, they wouldn't need to worry about food or drinks for the rest of their lives. They could go find wherever they wanted to find their boss. 3 million ebony crystal. Wild God called out another bid, and said slightly, "Goddess Golden Flower, your blood vein has already been cultivated to the exposed realm. Kunlun Zi, your blood vein is the same. My blood vein, inherent skill is still a bit lacking, why don't you give it to me? Even if you sell me, Wild God, you can forget about the other, elixir, auction." He desperately needed this god disappear powder. Kunlun Zi slightly smiled, and said, "Brother Huang Jiyu, since you've already said so, how can I not accept? But, according to my words, you can't participate in the auction of elixir later." Goddess Goldflower was also looking at him. Wild God said, "Of course, I, Wild God, will keep my word." Finally, an agreement was reached. With the fall of the hammer, Chu Changkong's body trembled. He had never seen such an astonishing price during a pill auction before. 3 million Shen crystal, what kind of concept was that? If they were put together, they could form a small mountain. Chu Changkong remained calm and said, "Congratulations, Lord Wild God." The Wild God idea moved, and a black card flew to the auction stage. And then, Chu Changkong immediately had his men bring the pellets up carefully. Wild God did not stop after receiving the pill and swallowed it in an instant. It was better to eat the 3 million ebony crystals things. He also wanted to know if this pellet was as powerful as Xiao Yarrow president said it was. If not, then he would have an excuse to get the money back. It was verified on the spot. Wild God looked at Xiao Yarrow president and said, "Xiao Yarrow president, if the pills aren't as good as you two in promoting it, you should be clear about the consequences, right?" Chu Changkong frowned. Yang Yu could undergo a transformation, but that did not guarantee for anyone to undergo a transformation. However, Xiao Yarrow president had a face full of confidence as he lightly said, "Lord Divine Lord, only you will be able to experience the power right now. It's useless even if I provide you with more explanations and assurances. This medicinal pellet was also concocted by that lord. Others might not know who that lord was, nor did they know either. However, they knew that there was another elixir that could increase lifespan by 100 years in this auction. The appearance of the God Disappear powder was a powerful propaganda. The effects of this pellet would show that the auction of the elixir would soon reach a climax. The wild god smiled faintly, and said, "It's best if it's as you say, otherwise I will smash your carefree auction into pieces." At this moment, Wild God's face changed. Buzz. A red light flashed from within his body, and a strong aura of power instantly burst forth. Wild God immediately sat cross-legged and the red light spread out in waves. Very thick. What happened? It's the same red light as before. It can't be that the blood vein can really release its power, right? Isn't this pill too magical? A few seconds. Rumble. The sound of an ancient mammoth trampling sounded out, causing the entire auction venue to shake. Kunlun Zi and Goddess Golden Flower's eyes shook. Their expressions were not good, and from their eyes, one could tell that they were regretting it. This should not be done with God Disappear powder S. Because they could feel that the power of the wild god was increasing rapidly, especially the power within the blood vein. It was increasing continuously, as if it was giving off its second spring. Another few seconds passed. Rumble. With a loud bang, a powerful ancient mammoth appeared on Wild God's body. Release the blood vein. It's really releasing the blood vein. This is unbelievable. Breaking through in just a few seconds. What kind of pill is this? Buzz. The aura on Wild God's body suddenly shrank under his own control. At this time, the blood vein's innate talent had increased too much, so he needed more time. This was also when he was at his weakest. If anyone attacked him, he would be finished. He had to be careful. He retracted his aura and suddenly said, "How many of these pills do you have in your Xiao Yarrow business alliance? The reason why I am willing to buy another one for 5 million Shen crystal." With that, the entire audience was shaken. Kunlunzi said slightly, "Brother Huang Jiyu, looks like you've broken through." Goddess Goldflower also said calmly, "Congratulations, Brother Huanggu." Wild God laughed out wildly and said, "Ha ha ha. I finally know what is meant by the power released by the blood vein. Strong, too strong. What's the name of this pill?" Chu Changkong replied, "God Disappear powder." The wild god said, "The God Disappear powder's medicinal properties are just like its name, transforming into miracles. The mortal enters the spirit, and the true God's will, the God Disappear powder." He was very excited. He had never thought that a single pill could bring such a great power. He felt that with his current strength, he could advance a few more ranks of Emperor list. Wild God looked at Kunlun Zi and Goddess Golden Flower and laughed. Kunlun Zi laughed, "It doesn't matter, as long as you remember what you said just now, the elixir S are not to be robbed from us." Heh! Wild God was stunned for a moment, and said, "Did I say that just now?" As soon as he finished, Kunlun Zi's face suddenly changed, his eyes staring straight at Wild God. "You can't be shameless, right? There are so many people in Wild God who heard it, you can't be so shameless, right? Who heard you?" Wild God's gaze swept across them, and then looked at the man beside him, and asked, "Did you hear that?" The man hesitated for half a second. And it was also at this moment, the Wild God's idea moved, and the man's head exploded. The Wild God asked again, "Who heard it?" The entire audience was silent, not even daring to breathe. It crushed everything in its path. What is the powerhouse? This is the powerhouse. With a single sentence, nobody would dare to move, not even to breathe heavily. If you dare to speak, just kill him. Goddess Golden Flower stared at Wild God and asked, "Wild God, what are you planning to do?" Wild God said, "I don't want to do anything, I just want to compete fairly. Just now, you guys were unable to defeat me, so I still want the next elixir." It was incomparably domineering. However, prove this from him. The God Disappear powder was powerful, but that elixir was even more powerful. Chapter 1251 Weapons Grandmaster Possession. Chapter 1251 Weapons Grandmaster Possession. Wild God sat down. He closed his eyes and rested his mind. The other powerhouses also sat down and waited. Tianling, there seems to be even stronger pills. That's right, the pellets auctioned off by the 3 million ebony crystal are not the best, there is still an even stronger pellet. The sky spirit frowned. Chen Tianfei asked in a low voice, should we change our plans and not snatch the volume question of God, or should we snatch the elixir? The fact that this elixir did not appear on the auctions list means that it's something added at the end. This kind of thing must be very special, very powerful. How about we? Everyone in the volume question of God knew. However, only a few powerhouse knew of the elixir's ranking, and they had come for it. The price of this elixir could be imagined. Tianling furrowed her brows. After half a minute of silence, she finally said, all right. Change the plan. Seize that medicinal pill. The sky spirit immediately said, Oya, inform them that there's a change in the plan. Aoya didn't have any expression on her face. She just nodded her head slightly. After a few seconds, she said lightly, yes, they've all agreed. The sky spirit looked at Aoya in shock. Aoya said slightly, don't worry, no one will be able to hear my sound transmission, not even those God disappear powder that were bidding just now. Fat Men Chen muttered, so powerful. Once the peak powerhouse used a large amount of power, they would be able to hear the idea's sound transmission. However, no one could hear Aoya's idea sound transmission. This was because her voice transmission speed was the sword spirit's voice transmission. Chu Changkong slightly said, the next item is the spirit treasure auction. Then, he walked down the auction platform while carrying the 3 million ebony crystal. He returned to the private room anxiously, his face filled with excitement, but his voice was still trembling slightly. 3 million ebony crystal, 3 million ebony crystal, oh my God. The Azure Dragon said, the value of God disappear powder however, is worth it. Niu Dashan, on the other hand, had a stupefied look on his face as he moved his fingers to calculate. 1 Shen crystal is equal to 100,000 profound stones. 1 profound stone can buy 10,000 cows, 30,000 sheep, and more than 10 wives. How many cattle can a 3 million ebony crystal buy, and how many sheep, and how many wives can one marry? I'm rich, I'm really rich. He had a silly look on his face. Chu Changkong handed the black card over to Long Fei, and said, thank you. He let out a vicious breath. He gave Chiu Hu a fierce slap, and Chiu Hu was also crushed by the president. All of this was because Long Fei gave him the chance, otherwise, he would have to take it. He had wanted to slap Chiu Hu a long time ago. Now it had come true. His heart was filled with gratitude. Long Fei replied, the pills are yours, so the money is yours too. Chu Changkong said, Brother Long, I can't take even a single cent of the money. Take it yourself, you can buy whatever you want. Kang Long also followed up, Master, take the money first and see if there's anything you need. Chu Changkong said, that's right, a 3 million Shen crystal is qualified to compete with the volume question of God. Long Fei could not refuse them, and said, all right, after this auction, I will return all the excess money to you. Speaking of which, Long Fei really had a lot of things to buy. He needed all the ancient spiritual artifact. There was also a secret manual for the 9 Young Divine technique, which was something he needed as well. The auction continued. However, some items of the spirit treasure grade were only average. There was nothing special about them. At this time, Long Fei also had another important matter, and that was to cure Yang Yu's illness. After completing the mission, he would be able to obtain 2 special items as rewards. The idea moved. Submit the mission. Ding. Congratulations player Long Fei for completing healing Yang Yu. You have received 1 million experience, 50,000 holy source points, 3 levels increase in alchemy technique, and 2 special item. Ding. Do you want to open the special item? Huff. Long Fei became a little excited, and thought, Demacia, it's time to test my luck. Activate. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 double experience card. Long Fei was a little unhappy in his heart. A mission that cost me a few months was rewarded with a double the amount of experience points. What the F asterisk asterisk K are you doing? A second notification rang out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Weapon Master's possession attributes. Heh. Long Fei's heart trembled. Damn, Weapons Master's possession attribute. Attributes, Weapon Master possession time, 5 minutes description, able to forge super divine weapons, able to strengthen, transforming decay into magic. Holy sh asterisk T. Long Fei roared out in excitement, his face flushed red, then said in excitement, I knew it, I knew it. With old Lord Taishang's alchemy, he must be a super powerful master refiner, then he must have a super powerful inscription master, a spirit channeling master. Ha 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 ha, your father is invincible. Long Fei wished that he could immediately strengthen the Xiao Luo machete. However, the weapon master only had 5 minutes of possession, he and old Lord Taishang's time were both incomparably precious, and Long Fei did not have any materials to strengthen himself either. No rush, no rush. Long Fei was overjoyed in his heart. At this moment, a voice resounded from the stage, below is the auction for the secret technique 9 Young Divine Technique. The starting price is 300 Shen crystal, and each bid cannot be lower than 30 of them. At this moment, Young Valley Master of Heaven's End Valley suddenly stood up and said, 500 Shen crystal. The moment his voice fell, many people who wanted to bid gave up. No one was willing to offend the Heavenly End Valley. 9 Young Divine Technique. Long Fei's expression recovered, he walked to the window and said, 100,000 Shen crystal. Young Valley Master of the Heaven's End Valley raised his eyes and stared straight at Long Fei, so angry that smoke rose from his head. Long Fei said in disdain, what are you looking at? Pauper, if you want to buy, then bid. Hurry up, if you can't afford it, scram to the side. To come to an auction without money, this is a place for rich people to play, it's not suitable for you. I think you're just here to be a rogue. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, Young Valley Master spat out another mouthful of blood. This time, half of the blood on his head was gone, he looked to be heavily injured. 100,000 Shen crystal going once. 100,000 Shen crystal going twice. 100,000 Shen crystal going thrice. Deal. In the dark. Fat Men Chen stared at Long Fei, who was in the private box's window, and muttered, this brat is so arrogant, do you want to take him out on the way? The corners of the Sky Spirit's lips curled up as she laughed excitedly. I also have the same idea. Long Fei secretly shook on the windowsill. Niu Dashan asked, boss, what's wrong? Long Fei shook his head and said, nothing, I just feel a chill behind my back, as if someone was plotting against me. Chapter 1252, 7-level energy. Chapter 1252, 7-level energy. Having money is easy. The 9 Young Divine Technique was easily acquired. With the secret technique in hand, Long Fei placed it into the space ring and it moved. Cultivate. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for cultivating the secret technique 9 Young Divine Technique for obtaining 100 experience, 100 holy source points, and 100 special rewards. Cultivation method, 9 Young Divine Technique rank, God of Secret Techniques attributes. Inner Chi description, the 9 Young Divine Technique has a total of 9 layers. Each layer is filled with power, allowing one to use the pure Yang force to transform into a powerful attack. Regardless of whether it was good or bad, Long Fei wanted to learn it. Because it was a martial arts technique from a novel on Earth. As a transcender from Earth, Long Fei had to take this martial arts technique. Even though the actual content of this technique was very different from the training methods on Earth, but he still took it down. Earth. What a distant thing, Long Fei muttered in his heart, and then thought disdainfully in his heart, oh my ass, how nice is it to miss Earth, I am making a name for myself, to have brothers and sisters, to have girls, to have money, how great is that? Then the auction continued. Long Fei did not leave the window, he continued to look through the system to look at the items being auctioned. 300,000 Shen crystal. This boss bids 300,000 Shen crystal, are there any higher bidders? 300,000 Shen crystal going once. 300,000 Shen crystal going twice. 300,000 Shen crystal. Long Fei slightly raised his hand and said, 400,000. Everyone looked at Xiong Long Fei. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with rage as he fiercely retorted, "Do you even know how to use this weapon? Do you understand this weapon?" "I don't understand." Long Fei shrugged and said, "But so what? Laozi has money, continue bidding if you don't like it." "You." The middle-aged man was so angry by Long Fei that his face turned pale. 300,000 Shen crystal were already his limit. 400,000 going once. 400,000 going twice. Deal. Long Fei once again took down a double-edged weapon. Chu Changkong said, "Brother Long, what are you buying this for? These two hooks are pretty good, but they don't suit you at all. There's no use in buying them." And Chu Changkong said slightly, "If you spend all of these Shen crystal, what would you use to bid for them?" 3 million Shen crystal. Chu Changkong gave a huge amount of wealth to Long Fei. Actually. Before he returned to the private box, Xiao Yarrow president had already sent a sound transmission to him, asking him to give the 3 million ebony crystal to Long Fei so that he would have the money to bid for the volume Question of God. Even if Xiao Yarrow president didn't say it, Chu Changkong would. But seeing how extravagant Long Fei was buying a few things at a high price that he did not need, he started to worry. If he continued to buy, Long Fei would not have the money to compete for the volume Question of God. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Who said I wanted to buy volume Question of God? I didn't think about it." Long Fei took the two hooks and returned it into the space ring. Then, the idea moved. Fill with energy. Ding. Energy filled. Current energy level, 4. The business of buying a set of ancient spiritual treasure with 400,000 gold was profitable. Was there anything more profitable than this? A single ancient spiritual artifact was enough to raise the strength of a golden cudgel by 1 level. A mere 400,000 Shen crystal, what could be more profitable than this? At least. Long Fei didn't think of this at the moment. However, in the entire auction, probably only he could tell if the item being auctioned was an ancient spiritual treasure or not with a single glance. Regarding the things that he needed, Long Fei was never stingy. In addition, as for the volume Question of God, Long Fei smiled mysteriously and said, "If I don't have the money, I can steal it." Chu Changkong was slightly taken aback. Long Fei patted Chu Changkong's shoulder and laughed, "It's a joke, don't be nervous." 3 million ebony crystal buying volume Question of God. This was almost impossible. There was only one way to obtain it: fight for it. Therefore, Long Fei had been preparing the entire time. The reason why the energy levels of the golden cudgel were constantly being filled was because it would take a little more time to release Sun Wukong possession, let alone 3 seconds, for at least 3 minutes. If that was the case, for the Sun Wukong to cause such a ruckus in the Heavenly Palace, it was no surprise that he would make an auction. At that time, who could stop him? Blast whatever you want. As item after item was auctioned off, Long Fei made 3 consecutive moves, the most desperate bid being up to 1 million Shen crystal. He had 3 ancient spiritual treasures. The energy filling up of the golden cudgel was also raised to the 7th level. Or was it unable to activate the 2nd stage of the golden cudgel's power? How much energy was needed? Long Fei simply did not know, maybe 10, maybe 100 levels. After all, it was a main artifact. After the 3 items were auctioned, Long Fei did not have a single item on him. "Big brother Kang, buy your 50,000 Shen crystal. After the elixir is finished auctioning, I'll return it to you," Long Fei said somewhat embarrassedly. Kang Long immediately said, "Master, you are being too formal, do you still want more? With my status, I can even overdraw 100,000 Shen crystal in Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, if you want." Long Fei waved his hand and said, "No need, there are still a few things that I have read, and do not fit me. Right now, we're just waiting for the volume Question of God to be the first to reach the top." At this moment, Chu Changkong's brows shook, and he said lightly, "I'm going out for a while." It was also at this time when the auction was at its most tense. Because, at this time, it was unknown when the 2 old men from Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance were standing on the auction stage. Some powerhouse could tell at a glance that these two elders were the super powerhouse on the Emperor list. The main show is here. The finale is here. Volume Question of God. At this moment, almost everyone stretched their necks to look at the auction stage. The host said with a faint smile, "I believe you all know about it already. Not bad. The next item up for auction is this auction's most valuable treasure, the Volume Question of God. There are many legends about the Volume Question of God. Some people said that it is a warrior's way to heaven. Some people say that it is the path to God. In short, this is a great treasure. A great treasure that can change fate. Next, take out the Volume Question of God." Two staff members walked up with a heavy box. Then, they slowly opened it. Inside, there was something that looked like a roll of parchment paper. His entire body was emitting a strange purple light. Long Fei was startled. What an awesome thing. At this moment, Chu Changkong walked into the private box once again, took out a black card and handed it over to Long Fei, saying, "This is the elixir S fees that the president has given you in advance. 6 million Shen crystal." Long Fei looked at Chu Changkong, and did not receive it immediately. Instead, he asked, "Why does Xiao Yarrow president wish so much for me to obtain the Volume Question of God? He's that confident that I can pass the Tower Question of God's test." Chu Changkong said. "The president said, this is your only path. You have to take him down." Chapter 1253, Not Purchased. Chapter 1253, Not Purchased the Only Way? Hee hee. Long Fei laughed. "Since you all will be so enthusiastic, then I can only accept this favor. I will take the money." He didn't want the money for nothing. Moreover, this was still his own money, the money that the elixir had advanced. Long Fei naturally would not refuse. With regards to the Volume Question of God, he did not want to fight. Resisting what the Xiao Yarrow president said from the bottom of his heart, the Volume Question of God was his only path. The starting price for the Volume Question of God is 500,000 Shen crystal. Each bid must not be less than 100,000 Shen crystal. The auction begins now. As soon as he finished, a few nobles in front of him immediately called out a price. 700,000 Shen crystal. 800,000. 1 million. The price kept climbing higher and higher. Not even half a minute later, it was already 2 million. And it was still stacking up. Many people had come for the Volume Question of God. One of the windows in the private room suddenly opened, and an elder walked out. "My young master bids 3 million ebony crystal." One of the people in the opposing room could not help but say, "My young master is bidding 3,500,000 Shen crystal." 3,800,000 Shen crystal. At this moment, the voices from below the stage gradually lessened. Not many people could call out their bids. It was a competition between the various rooms. These people were all being led by people to bid and did not reveal their identities. This was also for the sake of a better cover-up. Niu Dashan asked slightly, "Boss, are we still not bidding?" Long Fei said, "There's no rush. Let them have enough first before we bid." "So be it. I bid 5 million Shen crystal. You want to snatch it from me? You too are worthy of that." "Humph." A stern voice sounded from the room, and once the 5 million Shen crystal S came out, the entire auction place fell silent. Just as Xiao Yarrow president had expected, the price of this Volume Question of God was estimated to be 5 million. Long Fei's 6 million Shen crystal was definitely going to be taken down. "As long as you can capture the Volume Question of God, I have my instructions to your father," Xiao Yarrow president said to himself. "Volume Question of God, Tower Question of God. Once you are absorbed by the Tower Question of God, Hellgate will not be able to touch you, and you will be safe." Xiao Yarrow president said sincerely and sincerely. "Who else? Who still wants to fight with Lousy? Why don't you take a piss and try to steal from me? Humph. Continue to bid." The youth in room number 1 said arrogantly. At this moment, Long Fei slightly said, 6 million Shen crystal. The youth was startled. He immediately looked at Long Fei, who was outside the window. His gaze tensed up as he said, "Brat, you dare to fight with me? Long Fei said, "Stop talking nonsense. If you can afford it, you can pay. If you can't, then give up. I don't have time to waste with you." "You." "Humph." The young master was furious and said, 6,100,000 Shen crystal. "Kid, continue being arrogant." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei said casually, 7 million Shen crystal. There was no time for him to react at all. The youngster's eyes darkened and his teeth chattered. He rushed out of the room and shouted, "You little brat, are you really going to fight with me for it?" He was utterly enraged. His appearance shocked many people, and the sign on his chest made more people shudder. "People of the God's Mountain Gate." It seems, and is even a junior master of a God's Mountain Gate. I heard that the God's Mountain Gate is as rich as a nation. Even if you add up the wealth of the Kanglan Emperor, it still wouldn't be worth the wealth of the God's Mountain Gate. This is still not where the God's Mountain Gate is powerful. What is truly powerful about them is their strength. The God's Mountain Gate possesses 3 Emperor lists, no wonder it's room number 1. Its identity is indeed extraordinary. Long Fei shrugged his shoulders and said with a face full of satisfaction, "I have no choice, I have no place to spend money. Are you unhappy? If you're not satisfied, continue bidding." He did not care about God's Mountain Gate. Long Fei's way of doing things was based on his mood. Chu Changkong frowned and reminded him in a low voice, "Brother Long, our funds." 6 million Shen crystal was already their limit. It was impossible for him to take out any more money. The God's Mountain Gate of the God's Mountain Gate heavily shouted, "All right, I will bid 7,500,000 Shen crystal." As soon as he finished, Long Fei immediately revealed a pleased smile and said, "All right, you win, you." Very clearly, the God's Mountain Gate had been tricked. However, God's Mountain Gate of the God's Mountain Gate still revealed a complacent and incomparably wild look, and said, "You want to fight with me? Chimpage, you think you're worthy? Brat, who do you think you are? You think winning against the master of martial prowess mansion is so amazing? You think too much of yourself. In my eyes, you're not even fart." He taunted her ruthlessly. Long Fei laughed and said, "Not worthy, not worthy. Of course not." Inwardly, he laughed, "You'll know soon enough whether I'm worthy or not." At this moment, Niu Dashan disappeared from the private box. Inside God's Mountain Gate's private room. Clang. A teacup was smashed into pieces. Damn it. He actually made me spend an additional 2,500,000 Shen crystal. This piece of trash, I definitely can't let him go. Junior Master was exceptionally angry. 2,500,000 Shen crystal, that was not a small number. An old man spoke out, "Young Master, the amount of 7,500,000 has already exceeded the range of our advance. I'm afraid that the sect leader will punish us if we return this time." Cluck, cluck. "It's all because of that brat. I definitely won't let him live in this world. The auction is over. Kill." "Yes, sir." During the volume question of God's auction, those super powerhouse, like Kunlun Z, Goddess Golden Flower, and the others didn't even look up. Not at all. Because they knew clearly that the volume question of God had nothing to do with them. The tower question of God only took in warriors from the younger generation, so it did not care about them, these old monsters that had cultivated for hundreds of years, at all. Sigh. The volume question of God, I'm afraid there will be another powerhouse. I wonder who this volume question of God is for. Why are you worrying about this now? The crowd slowly got up, all wanting to leave the arena. The most important treasure was the volume question of God. After the filming was done, it was naturally time for the competition to end. At this moment, seeing that everyone was about to leave, the sky spirit became nervous. Chen Tianfei did the same and said softly, "The auction won't end just like that, right? Didn't they say that there was another elixir? Is it a lie? If it ended, then their plan would be a failure. If that was the case, then everything would be for naught." Chen Tianfei sighed, "If I had known this would happen, I would have snatched the volume question of God." At this moment, a host walked up to the stage and said, "Today's auction will be the finale of the finale, 100 years old life essence." Chapter 1254 8 King Kong Attacks. Chapter 1254 8 King Kong Attacks. As soon as he finished, the entire venue shook. Everyone was stunned. What's 100 years of life essence? Life essence? Is there such a pill? How come I've never heard of it? What is a life essence? Wild God's eyes flashed with a trace of light. The eyes of Kunlun Zi, Goddess Golden Flower, and the few powerhouses in the dark also shone with a similar light. At this moment, the sky spirit let out a long breath, looked at Oya and said, "Let them go through with the plan." Oya nodded slightly. On the auction platform, the host said indifferently, 100 years of life essence, just like the name implies, it is a pill that increases lifespan by 100 years. A martial artist has a limit to their lifespan. If they cannot break it, then their lifespan will be restricted by the law and they will die of old age, turning into a pile of dirt. This pill can extend your lifespan by 100 years. This is to borrow my life from the heavens. What can 100 years bring? What can 100 years change? Time is life. You might even be able to fly up and break through within 100 years, or you might even be able to obtain a fortuitous encounter, have a heaven-defying breakthrough, and might even be able to enter the divinity. As long as it doesn't die, as long as it lives, it can make everything impossible. The first life essence in the history of the Chaos Realm, and the only one so far. Say that again. Don't doubt the attributes of this pellet. Since our Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance is willing to take it out for auction, it would be proof of the attributes of the pellet. This 100-year-old life essence was also created by the supreme expert who refined the God Disappear powder just now. Finished. The host said, "Bring out the 100-year-old life essence." The two of them carefully carried it up. The two of them had a huge difference in stature. They were nearly 3 meters tall, had a tall and sturdy build, and their muscles bulged. Furthermore, there was a large thing wrapped around his back. The other person was thinner, which formed a huge contrast. Everyone paid attention to the elixir that they had brought up, and did not take an extra glance at them. The two of them kept their heads down, so their appearances could not be seen. Long Fei only glanced at them slightly, it only felt a little familiar, but he did not think much about it. How could he possibly think that Li Yuanbar and Ahut were standing on the stage? Never dreamed of it. The host's expression was stunned, because it was different from the staff member who was carrying the volume question of God just now. He did not think too much, and now the main event was the elixir auction. Once the pill appeared, many people widened their eyes as they looked over. It looked similar to the God Disappear powder from before, but the golden light was thicker. It was obvious that this elixir was of a higher level. The host said calmly, "The starting bid is 1 million Shen crystal. The bid increase must not be less than 500,000. Let's begin now." It had to be said that the host was very emotional and grasped many people's weaknesses. 100 years of life. There are too many things it can change. Everyone in the auction venue was stunned. Their minds could not come back to reality. Was there such a pill in this world? Was it really possible to refine such a heaven-defying life essence? Kang Long said excitedly, "Let's stir up a commotion. Chaos Realm, Alchemy Realm. Ha ha ha. Incomparable excitement. After tomorrow, the entire Chaos Realm would tremble because of this. Many reclusive powerhouses would probably not be able to hold back, because 100 years of time was too precious." Just when many people were still in shock, Kunlun Zi was the first to shout out the bid, 3 million ebony crystal. The voice was agitated. This pill was too important to him. He only had a few years left, and if he couldn't make any more breakthroughs, he would only run out of lifespan and become a pile of dirt. Anyone who faced death would show great struggle. Wild God smiled slightly, and said, "Kunlun Zi, don't be too excited, I bid 4 million Shen crystal." Kunlun Zi's eyes were filled with anger, and he bellowed, "Wild God, you are too despicable." Wild God sneered, and said, "Despicable? This is just an excuse for the weak." Goddess Goldflower called out a price, 5 million Shen crystal. A powerhouse called out the price, 5,500,000 Shen crystal. In just a few seconds, the price had skyrocketed to 5 million Shen crystal. It was hard to imagine, and many people were stunned. Chen Tianfei muttered, "Do we do it?" The man shook his head and said, "It's not time yet. Let's wait a little longer." Chen Tianfei rubbed his hands together, feeling impatient. At this moment, the assassins of the Hellgate, the assassins of the Bounty Gate, and the people of the Thousand Alliance sect were all quietly moving. Many of them disappeared from the spectator stands and walked towards Long Fei's box. They were all waiting for orders. As long as they gave the order, they would immediately act. "I bid 6 million Shen crystal. 7 million Shen crystal. Wild God, do you have to fight with me for it? Ha ha ha. Kunlun Zi, are you saying that you want to steal it from me? Brother Karakoram, if you don't have the money, then forget it. Ha ha ha." Many people began to laugh. Kunlun Zi said solemnly, "I offer 8 million Shen crystal." Goddess Golden Flower was slightly surprised for a moment before she gave up the auction. Wild God's expression also slightly changed as he said, "Fight with all your might. Seems like you have to obtain this life essence. From this, you can see that your brother Kunlun's lifespan is running out. Since it's like this, then I should have gotten it even more. 9 million Shen crystal." The crowd was shocked. It's a total of 9 million Shen crystal. It's a new record for the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance auction. Amazing. This is too terrifying. The people from the VIP box all walked out. Compared to these superpower house, they were too weak, so weak that they couldn't even withstand a single blow. They didn't even have the chance to bid. Kunlun Zi gnashed his teeth so hard that they almost broke, and said with a heavy voice, "I bid 10 million Shen crystal." Rumble. 10 million. His mind was greatly shaken. Wild God revealed a cold smile. 10 million Shen crystal? Kunlun Zi, can you take it out? Do you have that much money? Do you think just shouting is enough? At this moment, the host said slightly, "If you can't afford that much money, you can use time to make up for it. In other words, you have to serve Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance for a few years. As a slave." Wild God's expression changed slightly. At this moment, Kunlun Zi said straightforwardly, "I'm willing to be a slave for 10 years, plus the 10 million Shen crystal." Wild God, keep bidding. He was really risking his life. The atmosphere in the entire auction hall reached its peak. The two Emperor Lists fought with each other and directly threw their lives on the line. Everyone was focused on the two of them. Finally, Wild God said solemnly, "Kunlun Zi, you are ruthless." He gave up. The host said, 10 million Shen crystal and 1 slave every 10 years. 10 million Shen crystal plus 10 years as the second slave. 10 million Shen crystal and 3 times slaves in 10 years. At this moment, the Sky Spirit looked at Aoya. Aoya's sword spirit idea moved, saying, "Do it." Chapter 1255, 2-4 arms, like a god. Chapter 1255, 2-4 arms, like a god attack. Attack. Almost at the same time, everyone in the Bounty Gate gave their orders. Bam! The door to the room was kicked away, and a black shadow struck out with his sword. Long Fei's face tensed up, and instantly rushed into the private box. At the same time, on the stage, Li Yuanbar's huge clothes were immediately burst apart by the strong muscles on his body, revealing the appearance of a real face. In his hands was a giant spirit axe, and on his back was a huge coffin. The giant spirit axe in his hand suddenly swept. Clang! He directly destroyed the box that was holding the elixir, and with one hand, he snatched the elixir and laughed tyrannically, "It's done." Everything happened too quickly. The speed was unimaginably fast. Long Fei just happened to miss this scene. He clenched his fists and exclaimed, "Beautiful." The auctioneer on the stage had a sinister look on his face as he shouted, "You dare to steal Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance? I think you guys are tired of living. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Where is the group of guards?" Li Yuanbar laughed foolishly, "I won't cry even if I see the coffin." Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's elites rushed out from the two sides. At this moment, boom, boom, boom. Spirit water soul art. As the water particles entered the guards' bodies, they began to shrink. In an instant, their bodies began to crumble to the ground. They were all on the verge of death. With just a single sleigh, dozens of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's elites were unable to climb up. Extremely powerful. In another area, the venerable dragon's body was being swept in all directions. A beam of golden light was like a giant dragon, directly overturning all the elites in the other area. Ahat King Kong, dragon subduing Doyen, ha ha ha. Kill us. Dream on. Ahat laughed proudly. It was also at this moment that Ahat took a step forward. With a flip of his right hand, the Vajra subduing wand in his hand trembled on the ground. Rumble. The host was knocked onto the ground. Ahat shouted and said, Yuan Ba, let's go. Li Yuanba waved his giant spirit axe and carried it on his shoulder. He laughed excitedly. It's very simple. What Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance? They're just SOSO. Lin Yusheng and Xia Long rushed forward. The four of them stood on the auction stage, looking at the nearby heavenly spirit. All 8 of them were extremely excited. With elixir in their hands, it meant that they had succeeded. As long as they rushed out of the auction house, it wouldn't be long before this elixir could be sold for millions of Shen crystal. At that time, they would have enough money to go wherever they wanted and they wouldn't have to be trapped in the Lianyu Castle's territory anymore. Let's go. Li Yuanba released the divine power from his body and immediately shouted out. At this moment, Xiao Yarrow President was not in a rush to take action. What he was concerned with right now was not elixir, but Long Fei. The people from Hellgate made their move first. There are a lot of people at the auction between the Bounty Gate and the Myriad Alliance sect. Guild leader, we. Xiao Yarrow President frowned. An elder rushed in and said, President, the elixir is about to be snatched away. Cluck, cluck. Xiao Yarrow President took a deep breath out and said, Long Fei, I'm sorry. I can't let the Xiao Yarrow family take the risk for you. Long Fei was the son of his close friend. He did everything he could to help him, but the consequence of helping him was that his family was in danger. He had to think about the big picture. Moreover, the volume question of God was not in Long Fei's hands. This was the biggest problem. If the volume question of God was in Long Fei's hands, then it would be different. Xiao Yarrow President made a decision and shouted, Stop those 4 people and snatch the elixir back. Yes, sir. President, the auction is already in chaos. I'm worried that Wild God, Goddess Golden Flower and a few other powerhouse will take advantage of the chaos. Once that elixir is in their hands, I'm afraid we'll. Xiao Yarrow President shouted loudly, This is the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. If they dare to do such a thing, I will let them know how powerful the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance is. The energy emitted from Xiao Yarrow President's body was extremely thick. He was enraged. In the auction, the 4 of them quickly rushed to the exit. Suddenly, Li Yuanba suddenly stopped, and the giant spirit axe on his shoulder dropped. Wang, Ahat said, Why aren't you leaving? Li Yuanba looked at the man in front of him and said, You guys go first, I'll stop him. As soon as he finished, the giant spirit axe in his hands landed on the ground and slashed the ground as he charged forward. The godly power throughout his body was surging, giving off a red glow, as though it was about to explode from anger. The man smirked and said, No one can steal things from the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. He also instantly went forward to meet it head-on. However, Li Yuanba suddenly leaped up, holding onto his axe with both of his hands. He slashed towards the man's head. We are an exception. Boom. It hacked down heavily. But the man sneered with disdain. His figure suddenly disappeared, and a cold laugh sounded out in the air. Trash. The axe missed. The man's figure completely disappeared. Trash. It was also at this moment that the figure of another Li Yuanba appeared in the sky. Rumble. Rumble. With a single strike of the axe, that man was immediately split into 2 halves. His body fell from the sky, blood spurting out all over the floor. Li Yuanba took a step forward, and with a stomp on that person's head, he laughed foolishly. Who is the trash? As he spoke, the figure in the sky slowly descended, superimposing on his body. At this time, Li Yuanba had 2 heads and 4 arms. It had the appearance of a god. Awesome to the point of being a complete mess. 2 heads, 4 arms, 1 body completely superimposed on his. That's not the point. The key was that his body could be separated. Many people in the surrounding area were dumbfounded by what they saw. Ahat grinned and said, "Abnormal." Li Yuanbar laughed foolishly. "Do you want to make something even more abnormal for you to see?" "Ha ha ha." Lin Yusheng said, "We cannot stay here any longer, let's go." The one who died just now was just a guard commander of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance S. It should be known that the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance had sent out many powerhouse S this time, and there was even a super powerhouse on an emperor list. In addition, Wild God, Goddess Golden Flower, Kunlun Zi, and a few other super powerhouse were sitting in their seats motionlessly, not panicking at all. Their eyes were fixated on Li Yuanbar and the other 3. They were waiting. As long as Li Yuanbar rushed out of the auction, then everything that happened outside the auction had nothing to do with the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. In other words, they could make a move now. Apart from them, there were many others who remained seated. "Junior Master, let's leave quickly. What's the rush? A good show has just started, and..." The God's Mountain Gate S looked at Xiong Longfei's private box and continuously released heavy explosive sounds. What exactly happened? Chapter 1256, Mad. Chapter 1256, Mad. Continue walking. The giant axe in Li Yuanbar's hand was once again hoisted onto his shoulder, as he innocently said, "Those who block our path will die." He was as mighty as an Empyrean god as he charged forward frantically. They were getting closer to the exit. At this moment, "Buzz! Be careful!" An extremely strong force of thunder came crashing down. Too fast, too fierce. This power. It was definitely the super powerhouse on the Emperor list. At this moment, Fat Man Chen shouted. Following that, he sprung up like a ball of meat, both his palms started circulating, and with a speed of 4 times combined, he struck out. Buzz! An extremely strong defensive force spread out from the top of Li Yuanbar's head. Rumble! Chen Tianfei's body sank, and the defensive power of the divine armor burst out strongly. Backfire! He threw out a burst of defensive power. Just like a bouncing bed, he suddenly launched a counterattack. Rumble! Bang! The air exploded, and an elder landed in front of them. His expression changed slightly as he stared at Fat Man Chen. The corners of his eyes turned sinister, and he was overwhelmed with shock. Such speed, such strong defense. The wild god did not mind as he watched the show, and laughed. "Do Lei, do you want me to make a move? From the looks of it, you can't even beat this fatty." Boom! 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 With 3 consecutive sounds, 3 figures landed on the ground. One of them said coldly, "I won't bother you about the matters at Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Free and unrestrained child. The 27th Emperor list. 16 places higher than me." Wild God's gaze turned cold. Goddess Golden Flower's expression changed slightly as she laughed. "Seems like Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance has made enough equipment this time." Kunlun Zi said, "I just want to know whether or not today's auction will end soon." Xiao Yarrow president walked out and said, "Of course you can count. Kunlun Zi, the elixir is still yours, but before that, I hope you all can sit there quietly." Kunlun Zi smiled lightly and said, "Since Xiao Yarrow president has already said so, then I am relieved. Don't worry. No one can move against the person here. Whoever wants to attack that elixir will be going against me. I will mercilessly kill him." Kunlun Zi stared at Wild God and said slowly. Wild God's face darkened. At this moment, Li Yuanbar became annoyed and said, "It's as if you guys can snatch the elixir back. What Emperor list? Yellow dog leaderboard. How dare you block our way? I will turn all of you into dead dogs." Li Yuanbar swept his gaze across the 4 of them. The 4 of them had extraordinary cultivations. An extremely strong realm, but when the 8 of them came to Chaos Realm, they had never met an opponent that made them serious. Fat Man Chen stood in the middle and said softly, "When the 4 of you attack, I will be in charge of defense." "Then what are we waiting for? F***ck. Li Yuanba took the lead, staring at a sturdy man who was the first to rush forward. The giant spirit axe in his hand shook, and a ray of white light flashed out from the axe blade, chopping down at him. Giant spirit god slash. Boom, boom, boom. The battle axe shadows were everywhere. The burly man's eyes widened as he shouted, "Get down!" Both of his fists exploded, and the power that exploded from his body caused his clothes to burst apart. With a flip of his hands, 2 bronze hammers fell into his hands, and he similarly attacked ferociously. However, the aura of the burly man turned into a formidable pressure that crushed forward. Boom! Li Yuanba's sea of consciousness shook. He slowed down a bit, his face turned sinister. "Damn it!" Chen Tianfei shouted, "Don't worry. Buzz." A wave of defensive power landed on Li Yuanba's body. The pressure on Li Yuanba's body directly shattered, and he took the opportunity to slash down. "Let's see who will get down, giant spirit god." The runes on the coffin flashed with light, and a burst of energy linked Li Yuanba's body, causing the runes on both of his arms to glow, and he held the giant spirit axe with both of his hands. At this moment, the giant spirit axe suddenly changed. Boom! The axe, which was originally just a normal size, suddenly became thicker, larger, and 100 times larger. The tall and sturdy man's face sank. He was caught off guard by the sudden upheaval as the 2 hammers collided against each other. Rumble. Crack. The 2 hammers broke and power burst out. The burly man's body sank and a thick layer of light formed a shield. However, even with that shield, his body still bent down and he laid on the ground. He was forced to the ground by the powerful force. "Who's down?" "Huh." Li Yuanba raised the gigantic giant spirit axe above his shoulders and domineeringly stood in front of the man, looking down on him. At the same time, other than Lin Yusheng being heavily injured by the free and unrestrained child's one move, Chen Tianfei's defense was not blocked in time. Wild God stared at Li Yuanba and the others, a light flashed past his eyes, his mind filled with suspicions. When did this group of abnormal youths appear? This is too surprising. They were also shocked by Li Yuanba's power. He couldn't figure it out at all. However, they did not think that Li Yuanba and the rest would be able to leave the auction house. Because just the fact that he was a free and unrestrained child was enough to crush all 5 of them. The powerhouse on top of Emperor List were far from having this kind of strength. "Back off." The free and unrestrained child snorted, his eyes turned sinister as he locked onto Li Yuanba, and then his chi suddenly disappeared. "Be careful." Chen Tianfei's defensive power instantly sensed the aura of the free and unrestrained child, and with a slight movement of his body, he blocked it. "Defender. Humph. Get down." Boom. With the cover of his palm, Fat Man Chen's defense was instantly shattered and his entire body fell onto the ground as he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Ah, your ancestors." Li Yuanba exhaled. Golden light radiated from Descending Dragon's body, and the Vajra Vault in Arhat's hand released a powerful light that seemed capable of entering hell, attacking with all of its strength. The 3 energies gathered together. He charged forward. Rumble. Rumble. The auction was in an uproar. The unrestrained child was forced to take a few steps back, and the blood in his chest was churning. It was extremely painful. Li Yuanba was heavily sent flying out. Arhat and Descending Dragon also crashed into the wall, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Wild God, Kunlun Zi, and Goddess Golden Flower's expression changed. Such powerful strength, these people are truly incredible. Boom. Li Yuanba's body shot out, his neck flashed, and his joints popped out as he rushed out once more. He shouted, "His grandmother, come again." The unfettered child's anger surged. His murderous heart rose as he said, "Let me see how much power you still have." At this moment, the black-colored flames from the blade burned in midair. One sword spirit after another gave off a purple glow. There were 100 of them. The aura of hell began to surge. Black Knife, Aoya, and Tian Ling walked out. Chapter 1257, F***CK, Do It Again. Chapter 1257, F***CK, Do It Again. There's really an accomplice. Humph. The unrestrained child snorted coldly. The power in his hands became even stronger. At this moment, the power of Black Knife, Aoya, and Tianling surged, forming a powerful force that went head-on against each other. Rumble. Rumble. The two powers intertwined and were equal. Li Yuanba, who was rushing forward, bellowed, "You want to mess with this, daddy? I'll kill you." One leap. The giant spirit hangs the moon. He raised his axe and rushed forward. His body and the axe had turned into half a month's worth of power. The tremendous power merged with the giant axe and heavily smashed down towards the head of the unfettered child. Wild God, Goddess Golden Flower, Kunlun Zi, and a few other powerhouse all stood up at this moment, staring at the scene in shock, their hearts flipped. Rumble. Rumble. With a loud explosion, the unrestrained child spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying, knocking over rows and rows of seats in the stands. Powerful wind blasted out from all four directions like blades, crushing the entire auction venue. Extremely powerful. Li Yuanba swung his axe down, shouting, "Fuck, come again." Incomparable savagery. Everyone in the auction hall was dumbfounded. The 27th position of the free and unrestrained child emperor list was actually beaten to the point of spitting blood. Just what background did these 8 people have? Each of the 8 had different strengths. They were all independent. Furthermore, these 8 people were extremely arrogant. They didn't even care who the other side was. "If you want to fight, then I will kill you." Especially Li Yuanba. In the move of War God Hanging Moon, 3 heads and 6 arms shadow appeared on his body. It was as if he was glaring at a god of heaven. He was strong to the point of being a complete mess. Xiao Yarrow President was also secretly shocked. He didn't think that these 8 people would be so powerful. However, the space between Xiao Yarrow President's eyebrows trembled slightly. He was not afraid or worried at all. Li Yuanba's gaze swept across and said, "Block our way. Your father has overestimated you by stealing your Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance S. Since your Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance is rich, why not snatch some pills for yourself?" Xiao Yarrow President slowly walked out and said indifferently, "A pellet is nothing no matter how precious it is, but you guys can't just snatch the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance away. You can't even take away an embroidery needle, much less a elixir." Li Yuanba's eyes were filled with anger. He stared at Xiao Yarrow President and asked, "Try it?" The Xiao Yarrow President smiled faintly and said, "Do you really think you're invincible? Everyone, be careful. This guy is very fierce." Fat Man Chen stood up and said, "I will block his attack, all of you take action." Li Yuanba was an impatient one. The battle plan had not been confirmed yet, but he had already rushed out, roared out, and said, "Then what are we waiting for? Get rid of him." Bang, bang, bang. He charged out like a rapidly charging tank. Tianling's heart tightened, and said, "Yuan Ba, be careful." After the celestial souls had shrunk. Descending Dragon, Black Knife, Lin Yusheng. 8 King Kong was all impulsive. The wild god narrowed his eyes slightly, and said indifferently, "I heard that the Xiao Yarrow President was ranked 6th in terms of profound strength, with such a high ranking. However, I have never heard that he made a move. I would like to see him today." Without waiting for Wild God to finish. With one hand, Xiao Yarrow President turned the sky upside down, power exploding out from his right palm and forming a huge energy web. This net of power directly covered everything. Chen Tianfei suddenly shouted loudly, "Everyone, be careful." Aoya's 100 sword spirits moved abruptly and charged forward. The Black Knife's Black Flame Emperor's Slash. Dragon Subduing's Golden Dragon Punch. All sorts of powerful forces were released. Not to mention a giant net, even 10 giant nets would be shattered to pieces. However, this huge net did not break, and instead absorbed all of their power. The power of the giant net became even more powerful. Boom. The huge net enveloped the 8 of them in an instant. The moment his body touched the giant net, the red aura of anger on his body quickly dissipated. His power was being drained at a crazy rate. Even the giant spirit axe had returned to its normal size. Holy sh**t. Why do I feel a little dizzy? Not just Li Yuanbar. The moment the giant net came crashing down, they were all the same. Their energy rapidly weakened as a powerful force sucked them in. The stronger the power they released, the faster they would absorb it. He couldn't hold on at all. In less than 3 seconds, the 8 of them were tightly tied up. 8 King Kong, defeated in one move. Wild God's expression changed sullenly as he thought in his heart, such powerful strength, is this the powerhouse ranked in the top 10 of the Emperor list? I can't block it with just this hand alone. The other powerhouses had the same thoughts as the Wild God. Xiao Yunzi, who was placed 27th, was heavily injured by 8 people, but in front of Xiao Yarou President, he was defeated in one move. Easy. This was the difference in strength. The rankings on the rankings, each rank and each rank, were like realms. Boom. 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 The huge net shrunk, trapping all 8 of them inside, causing the powerful god power on Li Yuanbar's body to attack again and again. However, the stronger the power that he released, the tighter the huge net became. Xiao Yarou President looked expressionless, but his palms were covered in cold sweat. He was secretly shocked in his heart. What are the origins of these people? The powers of these 8 people are too special. I've never heard of these 8 people before. Li Yuanbar yelled, "Grandson, let me out if you dare." Xiao Yarou President laughed blandly, "If you have the guts, then charge out." You. Li Yuanbar was so anxious that his face was flushed red, the divine power in his body was frantically leaking out, he was completely unable to unleash it. Tianling's mind was racing, but she could not come up with a solution. Xiao Yarou President said indifferently, "Accept your defeat, take out the elixir for me." Accept. Humph. Li Yuanbar was very unconvinced. "If you're capable, come in and bring it over yourself." Tianling said slightly, "Yuanba, we lost. Return the elixir to him." Li Yuanbar was startled, and said, "How about we?" The 4 people of Sky Spirit, Ahut, Aoya, and Lin Yusheng roared out at the same time, "No." Li Yuanbar immediately sagged, muttering to himself, "If only boss was here, he would definitely be able to defeat these people." Xiao Yarou President looked at the 8 of them, and his heart tensed up. Could it be that the 8 of them have even stronger powers that they have yet to release? If these 8 were to be separated, their power would definitely not be comparable to any powerhouse on the Emperor list, but if we were to group together, perhaps any powerhouse other than the 20 of them would be no match for them. If I can join the Xiao Yarou Business Alliance. Xiao Yarou President started to love this talent. Any of the 8 powers would take a liking to such a person. Xiao Yarou President said, "Return the elixir to me, I want you all to keep your lives for yourselves. How about you join my Xiao Yarou Business Alliance?" Chapter 1258, 3 Great Bosses. Chapter 1258, 3 Great Bosses. The 8 of them looked at Xiao Yarou President. She looked at him very seriously. Then the 8 people said at the same time, "Are you King dreaming?" And then there was Long Fei. His situation was much more dangerous than the 8 King Kongs. Hellgate of the Hellgate rushed into the room, and before he could even react, Yang Wanu was smashed to the ground. The Azure Dragon suddenly shouted, "Who dares to be so impudent?" Chu Chongkong took a look at the clothes worn by the powerhouses and frowned. "Hellgate people are too arrogant, aren't they?" The man in the lead walked out and said, "Hellgate has matters to attend to, those who are not related, scram." "Junior Master, how have you been?" They were here for Long Fei. The people of the Bounty Gate and the people of the 10,000 Alliance sect all rushed in, and immediately surrounded Long Fei tightly. 100,000 Shen Crystal S as reward. Junior Master of the Infernal Realm are really something. One who offends the World Alliance sect will die. Amidst the explosive sound, among the dozens of powerhouse, each one was more ferocious than the last. Yang Yu supported his father, walked to Long Fei's side and asked softly, "What do we do now?" Niu Das Han protected Long Fei's right side as the King Bull's blood's power surged on his body. He was currently hesitating on whether or not he should consume that God Disappear powder. Chu Chongkong frowned, he instantly made a decision, and said, "Hellgate, Bounty Gate, Myriad Alliance Sect, this is the Xiao Yarou Business Alliance, Aren't you looking down on the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance a little too much? Heh. Let me be more direct. The old man from the Hellgate sneered, and said, You really don't put the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance in your eyes. You better stand at the side and wait patiently, that way, nothing will happen to you. The Azure Dragon roared, You all are too. The Hellgate from the Hellgate said again, Kang Long, as long as you don't come with us, we will still not put the Kanglan Emperor behind you in our eyes. Kang Long's face darkened, it was extremely ugly. The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly, and said, Did you all come under Zhong Wushuang's orders? Or the rest of the Hellgate? The man from the Hellgate sneered, That's none of your business. All in all, you must die today. Long Fei said, Since I'm going to die, then can you let me die to understand? I just want to know who has been wanting to kill me all this time. Who sealed my memories? Who held me as a slave? There were many questions in Long Fei's heart. He wanted to know what the memories of this body were. He also wanted to know what kind of power was hidden in this body, so why was it that many people were asking him if he had awakened his power? Just what kind of power was this? Hellgate from the Hellgate smiled confidently, Seems like you are already prepared to die. That's fine too, I'll let you understand. This operation is young Master Wushuang's order. As for your memories, why did you become a slave? This was arranged by Zhong Clan. Alright, you already know what you want to know. Now, you can continue on your way. Long Fei's heart trembled, he secretly clenched his fists, Zhong Wushuang, 9 secret warrior family. Cluck, cluck, cluck. The joints exploded. Thinking about that scene in the Yuanyang clan, thinking about Zhong Wushuang's lofty and unparalleled expression, and thinking about Shenyuan Lie's tears, the rage in Long Fei's heart became ferocious, and couldn't be retracted at all. Long Fei shouted out loudly, It's time to let you all on your way. At this moment, Niu Dasan made a choice as well and swallowed the God Disappear powder whole, then roared out, F***ck that. You are courting death. The Hellgate moved his body and struck Xiong Longfei with his palm, shouting, With your current strength, you don't even have the qualifications to die at the hands of young Master Wushuang. His strength was like a mountain as it surged forth. Long Fei's cultivation was at the 7th level of the spirit stage. His left hand moved to intercept the attack, and the mountain-splitting knife at his right hand moved to slash down with the power of the 4 blood blades of Blood War Suckstar over China. When the 2 palms met, Long Fei's arm shook, and almost broke. The difference in levels was too great. Long Fei simply could not endure it. In that instant, he released the Suckstar over China, forcefully stabilized his body, and sucked everything in. The 2 palms connected. The strong devouring force was frantically devouring the Hellgate's power. That person's expression changed as he shouted, Bastard, let go of me. Without waiting for him to react, the energy absorbed by his left hand was immediately channeled into his right hand. The mountain-splitting knife flashed with a bloody light as it chopped down with its blade. It directly landed on the head of Hellgate. Power explosion. Blood spurted out from the top of his head like a column. He pulled out his blade and slashed horizontally, directly cutting off the powerhouse's head. With a roar, he shouted, Die. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hellgate Disciple for obtaining 34,000 experience, Holy Source points, 1800, energy values, 10 points. Congratulations, player. The system's voice faded. The people of Hellgate reacted, and all of them killed Xiong Longfei. At this moment, Niu Dashan's body was releasing a red light, his powerful body was enveloped by it, his entire being was as though he was in a state of blood anger. Moreover, 2 30-centimeter horns sprouted from his forehead. The power in his body became abnormally violent. The Hellgates rushed forward, and Niu Dasan stepped forward to block them. He shouted loudly, and said, Let me. Zhong Xian's body sank and he charged forward, knocking his head forward. Bang, 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 bang. A Hellgate was knocked over. The Bounty Gate's gaze turned cold as he said, Let's make our move, whoosh whoosh whoosh. Asterisk the Hellgates of the Hellgate made their move. Ah! The angel blood vein inside Yang Yu's body surged, and the pair of wings on his back suddenly shot out. Wings that were harder than steel, fiercely swept out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk feathers like steel needles shot out one after another. Everyone from Bounty Gate was nailed to the wall one by one as they screamed in unbearable pain. The experts of the Alliance rushed forward. Nyo Dashan and Yang Yu moved at the same time, once again sending everyone flying. Two great protectors, awesome to the point of overpowering the heavens. Nyo Dashan's body and power, the angel wings. They turned all the killers in the room upside down. At this moment, Long Fei did not waste a second. He rushed forward and slashed with his blade, one slash at a time. The knife was killing him. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Bounty Gate Disciple for obtaining 20,000 experience, 1,000 holy source and 10 energy values. Ding. Congratulations, player. Ding. The system beeps did not stop. It felt great. At this time, when Chu Changkong rushed to the window to call for people, he realized that the auction platform was in a mess, and said, "The elixir has been robbed." It was also at this time. A thick wave of energy came crushing down from outside the room. Without giving Long Fei the slightest chance to react, he erupted with power and dashed forward. Rumble. Long Fei was immediately flung out of the private box's entrance, directly falling out of the window and into the auction grounds. It was also at this time. 8 King Kong, who was tied up, looked over in unison. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.